Today's episode of the Cloven Hoof podcast was brought to you by Nicolas Cage in an Evel Knievel racing suit. All right.
We're back, baby. We've watched a whole range of things this week.
A whole range of things for your listening and educational and pleasure of intake into your mind. I'm gonna do this again. I'm gonna grab this fucking podcast by the horns like it was a bull and I was a Spanish bloke with a red towel. And I'm gonna.
Do they do that? Do they grab it by the horns? I thought they stabbed them.
Maybe
they stabbed the bull.
Yeah, they probably grab them by the horns first, don't they? Or maybe like I'm a rodeo man, like
a quick time event.
I'm gonna I'm gonna grab this bull by the horns like I'm doing a quick time event,
and then you're gonna stab it.
Yank it into the place I want it to go, and that is Moon Knight discussion.
Yeah, but not a disclaimer, not the whole of season 1 because we jumped the gun a bit.
There's only 5 episodes out.
Yeah. And I saw 4 of them about a month ago, so my memory of them is hazy.
I watched episode 5 today, so
I saw that today. I watched 5 today. I just saw the last.
It only came out today.
I saw episodes 1, 2, 3, and 4 when they sent the press screeners out. So it's been a while. So I'm relying on you a lot here.
That's okay. I've got notes. We're gonna be good.
I got notes on notes, but no memory of those notes.
Oh boy. Oh brother.
We're gonna jump straight in with our spoiler-free thoughts. So we'll do a season overview as a whole. What were our thoughts with no spoilers? So if you haven't watched Moon Knight yet,
considering this season is not over at
time, there's no spoilers for episode 6 because we haven't seen that. Nobody has. Or you might have seen it by the time you've listened to this. If you listen to it in a week,
this is true.
You've seen it.
Which would probably be quite a good time to listen to it. There's a little recap part.
So yeah, spoiler free overview. I thought it was great. Just to start with that.
All right, so I think overall I think it's brilliant. I loved the first episode. The second and third ones, I started to sort of feel like it was just going to be, because I think we've discussed this before on here, and so people who've listened to episodes in full will know, but I'm not a huge Marvel movie fan. And I was a bit worried a couple of episodes in that it was just going to be another exactly the same beat for beat kind of MCU thing. But the first episode I thought was brilliant. Second and third episodes I was like, ugh. The fourth episode started off a bit nothingy.
It continues from the third, doesn't it? So it's very similar.
Halfway through, picks up, gets really fucking good. Episode 5, probably my favorite thing that I've seen from Marvel, like in recent years. Like this sort of whole MCU thing, probably I think it might be the best thing I've watched.
Yeah. So without saying too much, I think 5 is where it really sort of starts to play into what I think makes Moon Knight unique. It does. It's not just your sort of normal paint by numbers Marvel thing. But I thought that for most of the series, to be fair, there is. I see what you mean, and I think in the middle of the series it does get a little more generic, but I think it does well to keep things relatively fresh. It does a lot of things we haven't seen before.
No, for sure. And also, I mean, Oscar Isaac carries it.
He kills it. He's excellent. Yeah.
He's obviously proven himself before to be a fantastic actor, and that wasn't up for debate and like up for question and go, oh god, is Oscar Isaac going to fuck this up? No, of course he wasn't. But he is particularly fucking good. Like,
I was shocked they got him. I mean, I know that this whole the Marvel franchise now is ridiculous, and they have some great actors in, but I think that Oscar Isaac is a type of actor we haven't seen yet. He doesn't normally jump into these sorts of franchises, and I know he did Star Wars, but I don't even think that's the same. I think that I was shocked that they got Oscar Isaac to play Moon Knight as well. You'd maybe expect it of a bigger caliber character, and that's not to say Moon Knight's
I
bad. I
think
love
though,
Moon
to
Knight.
be fair, I think I sort of think on the contrary, it works quite well for him to be
Oh no, it works.
because no, but in that Moon Knight is not really a character we've seen anyone particularly like in the MCU, and in that same way, Oscar Isaac isn't particularly in a similar level, a similar sort of like I don't know, like he's not like the sort of typical vein of actor to
No,
get in for the MCU.
in the
And
sense he's
so
short.
yeah, he is short, isn't he?
He
He's
is,
a
yeah,
little
he is really
bloke.
short. Yeah, it's like Killian Murphy,
Yeah,
tiny little bloke.
tiny little
And I get
bloke.
what you mean. I get what I think
Yeah,
it does work, but
I think he was the right one for the role.
the other
100%.
name being thrown around was Rami Malek, who is the same. I would say he's one that you wouldn't expect. So I think that's what they were going for. I
Yeah,
think they were probably
yeah.
going for the kind of actor you wouldn't expect to see.
Rami Malek he probably would have been great. To
He
be
would have been
fair.
great at the. He would have been really great as Mark and Steven, but I don't know if I would believe Rami Malek as Moon Knight.
Yeah,
I don't know. He's just not Oscar Isaac. He plays. When he says he's a mercenary and when he says he's a superhero, it's believable. I don't
yeah.
know if
I know
I'd
what you mean.
buy Rami
No,
Malek
yeah.
as a.
No. That I
That's a
think
different
that's
discussion for a different time, though. But
yeah. I think that's kind of exactly it, really, isn't it? I think it's that he works in the only role that I find him. To be fair, the only character that I find him least believable as is Stephen, because he's such a bumbling idiot. But
um,
as the series goes on, he grows into it quite a lot, and you start to kind of also, again, without getting into spoilers, when you sort of start to realize that character's backstory and sort of how it all starts to fall into place, and actually he does it really really well. I think initially I was sort of like, oh god, fuck's sake, why did you call me Mark? Fuck off, But I like when that character starts to get more fleshed out and more developed, and you kind of start to understand what's going on essentially. It makes a lot of sense, and it's really well done, and he
I
does a good
think
job
that,
with it.
and this, I don't think it would be spoiling it to say that both characters, Stephen Grant and Mark Spector, aren't in it immediately at the same time. It takes time before we see both of them on screen, and I think that you really started to he settles into the role when you see both in it. When you see Stephen and Mark and you see them interacting with each other, that's when I think
Yeah,
it
you're
becomes
right.
fully believable. And I think after that and after when you see them interact with each other more, particularly in the later episodes, I don't think you could begin to question
No,
him in the role. He's it's the best acting we've seen in the Marvel franchise, I think, in any of those
yeah,
films.
yeah. I think probably you're probably
And
right.
that's
From
not
what
to
I've
shit on
seen,
anyone else. Like that's not, I get that
but I think
people
also a
love
lot of that. I think a lot of that is because it's the best writing.
it is, but I just mean like I
And
mean there's a certain this is gonna sound really snobby. There's a certain subtlety to how he plays the character, and people
yeah,
love Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, and they love Tom Holland as Spider Man, and they love
yeah,
Chris Evans as Captain America. But um, I I think you could swap out. People would hate the fact I'm saying about Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, but I think you could swap them out for a few actors. I think that there's something about
Mark
how Oscar
Wahlberg.
Isaac plays it. Mark Wahlberg as Iron Man. Can you imagine that?
He's
Can
a
you
true
imagine that?
American hero.
He is a true American hero, isn't he?
True American hero.
Can you imagine him as a Moon Knight? Can you imagine
God,
him? That would
that
be
would be
amazing.
rank. I would hate that. I would hate that so much.
I don't actually. Stephen Grant is only English because Oscar Isaac made that decision. So if they're
Is he?
all American, yeah, he's in the comics. He's a millionaire and um he's American. And I think Oscar Isaac wanted to play it. I think he said he wanted to play it differently, but I think the idea was to play it a bit more distinct from the other personalities.
Yeah, that makes sense because um the like yeah what was I gonna say? Yeah, if it was just Stephen Mark Spector as a ruthless mercenary, and then Stephen Grant as just kind of another American
I
kind of
think
suave bloke.
yeah, if they play him as a if they played him as a sort of an eccentric millionaire and Mr. Knight, I think that could work. But I think it's hard to discuss particularly the characters without spoiling it. But I think the making Steven so separate from Mark really plays into the story later on, and I think it really I think making him British was probably the best call.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so too.
Oscar
And
Isaac's
also-
great.
Yeah,
Just to repeat that.
Oscar
Okay.
Isaac's excellent. Who else is good in it?
Ethan Hawke. Ethan Hawke is particularly again later in the series.
Yeah, I was going to say, at first I didn't find him a particularly convincing villain. Or
he's
as
not the most
convincing
compelling villain.
No, but again, again, without spoiling anything, but as the series goes on and you start to become more aware of his character and his motivations, and then also there's a whole other element to his relationship with Mark and Stephen, which is revealed suddenly is in sort of episode 4 and 5, I suddenly was like,
I think even before that, and I know the points you're talking about, but I think even before that, there's a couple of points where he gets a bit more to do, where he does sort of, I don't know, he becomes a lot more interesting in again, without, it's really hard to discuss it without spoiling it, but I think there is a point where there's points where little bits of his backstory are revealed, and there's points where he has a bit more to do, where he's great. At the beginning, like you say, when he's just your sort of typical, like, he's not like a Marvel villain we've seen yet, but he's very much just
he's just a sort of mysterious, spooky bad guy.
Yeah,
and
pretty much, and it feels
doing some bad guy shit, and he's just kind of, but it's all a bit vague what he's actually doing and what he's trying to do and why he's there.
Yeah, it feels a bit like they had like different character tropes and traits, and they just sort of put them all together. And but that does change, and Ethan Hawke he's very good, and I think it's good that he's. The worry is with a lot of Marvel villains is they get one movie and then they get killed off. But I think the fact that if he doesn't return, the fact that at the very least he's had 6 hours worth of 5-6 hours worth of play.
Yeah,
I think it's good. I think it works, and I think he fully earns it almost with his performance.
Yeah, I completely agree.
There's not a huge amount in the way of other characters. I mean, you've got Layla, and she's fine. She does what she has to do. She's sort of just that typical sort of tags along with the hero, and she has her own moments, and she has a couple of fight scenes, and but she's overall she's fine. No sort of, I'm not meaning to take away from the performances of anyone, but nobody else has that much to do, and I think that comes with the fact that you have like Oscar Isaac is playing 3 people himself, and then you got a villain. And
because I was sort of I don't know if this is part of non-spoiler talk, but I don't know.
I can cut it if it's not.
I sort of the characters of Moon Knight and Mark Spector, kind of thought they were the same dude.
They are, but they're not as well.
But he's much more. What's the god called?
Khonshu.
He's much more just acting through Khonshu when he's Moon Knight.
Yeah, well, I mean, he is essentially. So this isn't spoilers because this is regular Moon Knight lore as such. Khonshu is an Egyptian god who they were almost locked out of our realm, so they had to instead use they had to nominate a person they could act through, essentially, and Stephen Grant and Mark Spector is that
The
guy
Avatar
in this, got
emoji.
that avatar. And all of the gods have them, and you may or may not see that in the series, but every god has their own avatar. And yeah, so Moon Knight is Khonshu's sort of avatar and his mouthpiece in our world as
You do
such.
also see, and it's not spoiler though, but you do also see actual gods, not just the people, which was
Yes.
kind of cool. So I was worried
Yeah.
they weren't going to do that because there's it's a bit where you do meet a couple of other avatars
Yeah.
and you don't see the gods, and I was just like, because they do
Yeah.
Khonshu, and Khonshu looks great.
Khonshu does look great. Yeah.
Khonshu looks really good. And yeah, no, you do see other gods, and it's pretty cool, and the designs look good. And
Question is
I
though,
like it.
in this universe, and this isn't spoilers. We don't find this out. In this universe, are they gods or are they, because Thor, Norse god, right? In this
Yeah.
universe, alien and still a god, but alien. So are they just aliens
Yeah, I
or
don't know,
are they
actually.
gods?
I don't know. I hadn't thought about that at all.
In the comics, they're gods, but in this, are they?
I hadn't thought
Actually,
about that.
I'm going to answer my own question. Yeah, they're gods. They're gods.
Is God in Marvel? Is
Good question. Not in the films. I don't know. I don't know.
the Christian God.
I know Santa is a mutant. I know Santa's not God. What a comparison, right? But Santa's a mutant, so you would assume God is also in it.
Yeah, fair enough. Weird that they have an in-universe explanation for the existence of Santa and that he's a
Yeah,
mutant.
yeah, he's a mutant. Yeah.
Has he got fucking titanium claws and shit?
No, that's Wolverine, mate.
kill?
That's Wolverine.
Does
That's
he kill?
Wolverine.
Does he kill?
I don't know.
I hope he
Yes,
does.
I don't know. I don't
Maybe
read the
inadvertently,
Santa comics.
Maybe he brings a child a bag of peanut M&Ms, and the
That
child
they can't eat peanuts.
Yeah, they're deadly allergic to peanuts, but because he wants to make it seem more authentic.
So is he doing it on
He's taken off
purpose?
the branding. No, he's doing it out of the goodness of his heart. He doesn't know about peanut.
Oh, so he's put it into a different packet.
Yeah, he's put them into a different packet, and he's like, ho,
Okay.
ho, ho, jolly treats for jolly children. And then he's poured them into their stocking, and then they reach in.
Loose.
Like, yeah.
He's poured them.
He's
Wow.
individually wrapped
Okay.
them. He's individually
Oh,
wrapped them,
okay.
and they reach into their stocking like, oh, Christmas time, Christmas jolly, Christmas treats. And then they eat them, and then they're like, oh, there's peanut in here. And then they're swells up, and they. Yeah, I don't really know.
No,
I'm
fair
not really
play.
sure.
Fair play.
But he's just, yeah, that was just, I don't really know. I don't know what accent that was. It just kind of went there.
Oh, that brings us on to the next spoiler-free topic is accent work. So
Oh yeah.
Obviously Stephen Grant is British.
What you're gonna try and lead that into?
Yeah, what a segue though, right?
Oh yeah, no, decent.
Yeah. So for the uninitiated, he's very English, and you can tell because he says things like plonker, and he says things like what else does he say? He says loads of things.
Nozzle.
Up the old nozzle, and he says, "Why did you call me Mark? Why did you say that name?
Why did you call me Mark?" He says, "Someone's having a laugh." He says, he describes something as Area 51 MI6 bonkers, bruv.
I don't remember that. I don't doubt you. I'm not saying you're making it up. That would be weird, but I don't remember.
What else does he say? He says that believing anything that comes out of your mouth shows what a plonker I am.
He says float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. My name's Stephen with a V, which we actually watched. We watched that scene because you didn't remember it.
Oh my god. I realized what I meant by wage I did it.
Oh, okay. So yeah, there was a note from Alfie's Moon Knight watching notes that we couldn't decipher, but he worked out live on air.
My friend also corrected Wagwan.
Oh, Wagwan. He does say that. He properly clocks a spoiler. No spoilers yet. He properly clocks a character. Like
Yeah.
properly clocks them in the face, and then he
And he
decides
goes, 1-1, I did it. And it's the worst. It is literally one of the worst. I think that might have been part of my lack of enjoyment of episode 2.
that makes sense. That
Um,
makes sense.
because I
Yeah.
was just like, what the fuck? Like,
No,
come on.
it's maybe the worst,
It was pretty
the
weak.
worst bit of television ever.
That line.
And there have been some
The-
bad
the stuff
shows
either side
on
of it, the
TV.
stuff either side of it is fine, but that particular line might be TV's lowest point.
The stuff either side of it is pretty great, but
Yeah.
when Oscar Isaac, a very not English man, you might say, decides that he's going to start not only doing an English accent, but also bringing in English slang. Yeah, it's rough.
London slang.
Yeah, like London specific slang. Yeah, it's bad,
But
and
also
it's
like,
yeah.
also like not even like, not even slang that he would use.
Or
Like his character,
actually,
legally, like based on what
actually though, we did talk about this off air. We'll talk about it in spoilers. There is a reason that it makes sense as such. Not that they explain. We're doing the explaining for them, but it does kind of make sense.
It does kind of make sense.
But also, yeah, terrible. It's not even really in a context that makes sense. Like I feel as though if you are in
it just doesn't make, it didn't make sense.
yeah, if you're in a high stakes fight and you get a properly good hit in, to be fair, and then you decide to use then to just
you're not shouting Wagwan. That's weird.
no. Well, I'd be pretty scared of someone that did
I don't
that.
think I'd ever say Wagwan.
I don't think I'd ever fight someone that punched me and then yelled Wagwan though.
No, but I don't think I am of a, like, I don't think I speak.
Oh no, neither of us would. Yeah,
just-
no, that's not
yeah.
the kind of way
And
that we
that's
would
the
ever
same with,
talk.
and
but-
that's the same with
the
his
same with
character,
Stephen.
and that's why it sounds weird. Like his accent and his, like, the way that he talks, it just doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense for him to say that. And it
Yeah,
sounds
yeah.
so.
It's very Chet Hanks. Throwback
It's
to episode
incredibly
1.
Chet Hanks.
Throwback
It's
to episode 1 of
incredibly
the
Chet
Cloven
Hanks.
Hoof podcast is very
Um,
Chet Hanks.
But I mean, it's pretty inconsequential. It was just pretty.
Yeah, it literally is
Um,
something that is the kind of thing that we review these things, and we review Morbius and Moon Knight and Fantastic Beasts, these franchises that have had huge amounts of money and thought pumped into them, even if it doesn't seem like it with Morbius and Fantastic Beasts. And we pick on the stupidest things, like the fact that he says Wagwan after punching someone. But it's stupid. It really is
It's
stupid.
It's
I
proper stupid.
think what else can we say with spoiler free? Because we have
Um,
to move on to spoilers at some point. So what
Yeah.
if you had to rank the episodes? And I'm pretty sure I know how you're going to rank it, and I think we'll maybe rank it the same. Out of the 5 episodes you've watched, best to worst, what are you giving it?
Best to worst, I can do this pretty quickly. 5, 1, 4, 3, 2.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
that's how. That's
So
how
I think
that's how
I'd-
go for it.
I think 5 and 1 would be a tie for me, and only because I think
Yeah,
5 probably content wise is a better episode, but I love the opening of 1 where it's Engelbert Humperdinck playing, and he's just
Yeah, yeah.
he's just a stupid man going about his stupid day. I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
that. Then now this is where I get stuck. Is you say 4, and yeah, the second half of 4 is excellent, but I didn't like the first half. Not because it's bad.
No.
I just at that point we were like, with
Yeah.
probably 2 or 3 episodes in a row of the same sort of thing, I was a
Yeah.
bit tired of it. So I would probably go 1, 5, which is the one, and this isn't spoilers as such, which is the one where it's 3. Okay, I would go 1,
Okay.
5, 3, 4, 2. I think.
1, 5, 3, 4, 2. Okay. All right.
I think not an
I can get your reasoning behind that.
disclaimer.
That's
2 isn't bad, like at all.
no.
None of them are bad by any stretch, but I probably would put 2 there because I don't remember it.
Yeah.
But yeah, none of them are bad at all.
No. Okay. Overall, spoiler-free review, pretty good. Pretty decent. Good show.
I already did. I wrote a review. You can find it at cloven-hoof.com if you're so inclined. I think I gave it an 8 out of 10. So that was for the first 4 episodes. With 5, I would push it to to a 9. I think my overall thoughts on it are that it's probably it's probably the strongest of the Disney Plus shows, other than maybe Loki, because I really like
No,
Loki as well.
I like this more than Loki.
Okay,
I've enjoyed this more than Loki. I thought Loki was good, and I did enjoy Loki. But I think I've enjoyed this more. I found it
yeah,
more interesting because
really.
Loki was good. Um, Loki was good. Loki was good fun. It was less. It felt less like. Oh, I don't want to say like dumbs down because that sounds really shitty. But it's like the
This feels
well,
less
no,
dumbed down, or Loki did. Sorry.
no, so Loki feels less dumbed down than like a lot of the big Marvel movies that
No,
I've
I
watched.
think
It's
that's
like
fair to
constant,
say. I think
just
that
like
they're all,
constant quips, and it's just
yeah.
like no, there's no actual substance to any dialogue that happens. Everyone's just going, "Oh well, that sounds pretty bad. Oh my god, alien invasion gonna wipe out half the world? Huh? God, must be Monday." It's just like,
Yeah, yeah.
it's just
I
like
wondered.
fuck.
I wondered
Honestly,
how
fuck off.
I liked watching that bit sort of unravel.
Yeah,
You
it did
started
sort of
it, and
fall
it was
apart.
kind of going nowhere.
It did fall apart.
But you
But
wrapped it up in the end. I get what you mean.
yeah, but I don't know. Loki was like it had enough of the like the sort of current era Marvel movie
But
energy
no
that
dick
it was
jokes. It didn't have
enjoyable.
any dick jokes
Yeah, but
like the rest of the Marvel film.
it didn't just feel like it had been thrown together in 30 seconds script wise, which I
Hmm.
don't know.
No, I don't think they even feel
I
like that. It
fucking
feels
you know I do, but I fucking adore God, I love him so much. Um I've
I
forgotten his name.
don't know who you love so
I forgot
much.
his fucking name.
Owen Wilson.
But Owen Wilson. I
Owen
love Owen Wilson.
Wilson.
I forgot his name just then, so it sounds like I'm
You
lying.
clearly don't
But
adore him.
no,
I
but I do
adore
love
Owen
Owen
Wilson
Wilson. I
so
love
much so
Owen
that I
Wilson
said
so
it
much.
straight away.
I think he's great,
He is
and
great.
he's brilliant in that. He's good. He's good fun in. That's probably the best Marvel movie role for him. He'd be weird in anything else, but he's just sort of a kind of weird time man.
Yeah,
He's kind of just he's
I'm
just
trying to
walking
think
around.
of
He's
who
a
he
bit
could
bored. He's a
play.
bit tired of his job because he's been there for eternity, and he's just like, oh, go and sort out some time shit. And it's good fun.
Would you take Owen Wilson as a multiverse version of a different hero though? Would you take an Owen Wilson Captain America cameo in Doctor Strange?
Oh, that'd be hilarious.
What
Yeah.
about an Owen Wilson Ghost Rider, but it's Cowboy Ghost Rider?
No, I can see an Owen Wilson Hulk. An
He
Owen
would have
Wilson
been a
Hulk.
good Bruce Banner. Thinking
Yeah, he
about
would,
it,
wouldn't he? Right,
Owen
because
Wilson back in the day,
yeah,
Bruce Banner, yeah,
Owen Wilson Bruce Banner would be quite cool
yeah, that
because
would
he
be
could
quite good.
just be a really chilled out guy. Be like,
That's the thing.
"Whoa."
It's like Mark Ruffalo is, but
Yeah,
cooler because it's Owen
yeah,
Wilson. I can see that. That's pretty good. That's
yeah.
good casting.
But I mean, I think Mark Ruffalo is great as Hulk, and actually, to be honest, I think of the Avengers, Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk might be my favorite because I like
Oh
Mark Ruffalo. I just think he's a nice dude.
no, he
and I
is.
think
It's true.
and I think he's good in. I think he's really good as that character because Edward Norton
Doesn't suit the
he's
character.
just a strung out, horrible, and I
Can
like
you
the
imagine what it'd
contrast
be like if he had stayed through the Avengers films? If
it
they
would have been
had,
shit
yeah, it would have been weird.
because I really like the I like Mark Ruffalo's contrast between being just chilled out, laid out guy, and then
Yeah,
and then also it works really well when they do in Infinity War no, not Infinity War, in Endgame when they do
Endgame. I hate
Professor
that.
Hulk
I
and he's like,
hate Professor Hulk in that film though, and it
I think it's all right. I think it's
no,
quite fun.
solely because I hate the listen to your mums, dab, and then he dabs. I hate that scene. I hate that. But that's
No,
what
I
you were
like the
saying about the Marvel films though.
yeah.
There's
But I
none of
like
that
the
in
bit
Moon
where
Knight.
I do like the bit where he's walking around and he's got to try and make a distraction and beat Hulk, and he's just like
Oh
actually
no,
doing
that's great. Yeah, I love
yeah,
that.
he's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
just punching the car, and he's like,
Yeah, it
it's
rips
so
his shirt
wild.
off. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
Um, no, anyway, we've gone very off topic, but
It's fine.
essentially, I think Moon Knight, to bring it back to Moon Knight, is
Mhm.
the best thing I've seen from this recent Marvel movie kind of thing.
If
And
they stick the
as far
landing
as
at the end,
yeah,
it'll be the best.
yeah, I think as far as sort of like it doesn't to me it doesn't compare to, but I know this is only sort of out of nostalgia. It's not like a it's not like a Spider-Man 2. But also
I didn't
in a
know
lot
you
of
liked those
levels.
films.
I love
I
Spider-Man
don't know
2.
why I didn't know you liked
The
this
first
film.
Spider-Man.
We spoke about
1,
Spider-Man 3 earlier, actually. I don't know why I didn't know this. We literally spoke about them earlier. Yeah.
Spider-Man 3 can suck my balls, but
It
Spider-Man
won't.
1
I just got a
won't.
text from Spider-Man 3. It actually it says
I'm
I
just
won't
like,
do that.
I won't do that. That's fine. It
That's
doesn't
fine.
have to, but I'm just saying it could.
It doesn't. It doesn't want to. It doesn't
No,
want
that's
to.
fine. I hate Spider-Man 3. Well, I don't even hate
I
Spider-Man
love
3.
it. I love it. I think when I
No,
was a
it's
kid, because what is it, 2009? So when I was 7,
yeah.
that film rocked. I think now it's you watch it back and you think, oh my god, like what
I
is
watched them
this?
all.
But
I got the box set. I borrowed the box set off someone, and I watched them all when I was about 9.
yeah,
And I thought they were. I th- I thought the first one was great when I watched it. The scene, the end scene where Green Goblin runs himself through with his little
yeah, it was
spear.
kind of
And that was like, because that's like brutal. And I was
yeah.
like, whoa, my god, holy shit! Like, what the fuck? That's insane.
Like your 9-year-old brain couldn't handle a good old
Yeah,
stabbing. Yeah.
yeah, and the bit with the goblin bombs.
You imagine
Where
if that
the
happened
skeletons.
and then Spider-Man went, Wagwan, I did it.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be shit.
Can you
That'd be
imagine
shit.
that? Yeah.
Because I quite like those Spider-Man films because they're not just like every 5 seconds. And because obviously
Well, which
in the Spider-Man comics, right? Spider-Man is known for that. Like that's his
he's
whole deal.
quippy, that's his thing.
He's always going. Oh, look out, uh, Goblin.
I love watching you, and particularly because I can see you in the views. I love watching you start a bit, and you set out with an example, and you're like, oh, Captain America's like, and then you pause for like a second, and I'm watching you think, oh, balls, like where am I going with this? And then there's just a bit of I'm Captain America. And then I'm watching the wheels turning, and you're thinking, okay, I got to think of a joke. I started this bit, I got to think of a joke, and then you're like, oh, I'm Captain America. Look at my balls, and then you end the bit. I love it. I love watching it. It's like watching a true master at work.
Yeah, leave a comment if you can anywhere.
You can on cloven-youth.com. I'll say it again. There's a forum on there, and you can leave any thoughts.
Tell me if you think I'm funny or if you hate me.
Tell us if you think he's a master at work. Tell us
Download if you love me. Leave a comment if you think I should stop doing this and Josh should find another co-host.
Give us a 5-star rating on Spotify if you hate him and you want him gone, but also give us one if you love him and you want him to stay. And then I will work out from the tone of your 5-star review what you think of him, and then we'll see if we have a new host for the 4th episode.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. I'm gonna fire him in between.
I'm up for putting my place on the line.
Putting your career, podcasting career on the line.
For the listeners at home. Let's actually talk about it then. Let's get into it.
So it's spoiler time. So if you haven't seen it, you are welcome to listen, but we're gonna go.
Don't listen to this. We don't want you here. If you haven't watched Moon Knight,
Alfie just went on a sweary rant about how if you haven't watched Moon Knight, you should go home. I've cut that, but you can he's looking up at me now like he's shocked and a bit appalled, but I've cut it. But I've cut that. But the general tone of his message was, if you haven't watched Moon Knight, now is your time to download the episode, but then stop listening.
Yeah.
That was essentially you have to download it first though.
Okay. Right. Episode 1.
Yeah, we're going episode by episode.
I reckon we should do a brief overview of what we liked and what we didn't like about every episode.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Episode 1. Mark. No, I've already gone wrong.
Stephen. Starts with Stephen.
Stephen, I understand this is his character. He's fucking useless. Bumbling a numpty, as he would probably
say. He would say, I think he does say numpty at some point. Either that, or maybe I said numpty at some point today and I've got it confused.
But he's good. And I like the bit where he's walking home from work and he talks to the little statue man.
That dude is a character from the comics. I was going to bring that up. Yeah,
Right.
he
Okay, well-
is in the comics. He is, if I remember his name rightly, I think he's Crawley. But he's Mark's little mate.
I got an email. I got an email from TripAdvisor earlier.
Was it
I
about
was-
Crawley the place?
Yeah, 'cause I was in town, and there was some scaffolding, and Frank, my mate Frank, for the listeners at home,
For the he's
Frank pointed out Crawley scaffolding, and he was like, "Well, they've come all the way from Crawley to do scaffolding." I was like, "Yeah, I guess maybe. I don't know, Frank." And I googled how far away Crawley was from Brighton. Not like that far.
where
But
is
then I was like-
Crawley? I thought Crawley was up north.
It's southeast.
Okay, cool.
But I was
Crawley.
like, yeah, Crawley. I was like, what is there to do in Crawley? And one of the top attractions for Crawley was to, I think it was Crawley. I'm pretty certain it was Crawley. This will be really embarrassing if this wasn't Crawley.
No, it's fine.
I've got my
It'll
geography.
be even better if it's not.
But essentially, one of the best things to do in Crawley, and this will just confirm whether it could have been Crawley. Yeah, right. Best thing to do in Crawley: go to Gatwick Airport. Go to Gatwick Airport and find somewhere else.
Go to somewhere else.
one of the-
If
like-
you're from Crawley, leaving the Clovenhoof Forum, is that the best thing to do in Crawley? Is it leave and go somewhere else?
Because one of the highest rated activity in TripAdvisor was just Gatwick Airport. And then Gatwick Airport bar, like one of their bars was also above the majority of like the fun things to do in Crawley.
Is
was
the
like-
Gatwick Airport bar the best rated bar in Crawley?
I think it was very high up there. Like in the Crawley area, because Gatwick Airport is literally right next to
Is
Crawley.
TripAdvisor an international
There's-
thing?
Yeah.
So if it that makes sense though that Gatwick Airport, because if you've got lots of traffic from around the world through Gatwick and you give it a quick TripAdvisor rating, you probably get more for international foot traffic than in
I know,
Gatwick
but-
than in
But
Crawley.
essentially the point being is that no one goes to Crawley.
No,
Um,
Alfie. I'm making you look like an idiot right now.
You
The
are-
reason for it is one is an international airport and
you're hitting me
one
with facts and logic.
is a British town.
Facts. You're hitting me with some knowledge, some serious knowledge.
Yeah, that's what our
Um,
podcast is about. Knowledge
Yeah, knowledge, logic,
and
truth,
reason
light, in a metaphorical sense,
and
Using
a literal sense.
shed light on facts, and also and do you know where some light comes from?
No.
The sun, which reflects on the moon night in the
Moon
night
night.
sky.
No. Oh yeah,
uh,
no. So Crawley is the statue guy is a character who is normally from New York. He's not.
Did a 5 minute just like rant about how much I dislike Crawley, but not
Did that
even
in the
that,
first
just
episode about
shitting on
Brighton
Crawley.
too.
Yeah, we did.
I mean, I
Um,
shit on Brighton. You like Brighton.
Yeah.
You live near Brighton.
I did.
Yeah. So Crawley is he's a homeless man normally, and in this I guess he is, but he he's one of Moon Knight's
Those street
mates.
performers aren't always homeless, so I'm just going
No. So for the listeners, Alfie's cut in the middle of Moon Knight talk, a really serious topic. Alfie's actually just gone. He's left. He's got up. He's walked away.
Sorry, I went to get a glass of water.
So I think that Crawley, from what I remember, is one of the few people that can see all of the. I think so. So you got the jackal, right? That Moon Knight fights in episode 1, and no, you can't see it on the cameras. From what I remember, Crawley can see that in the comics. I don't know if that's going to be the same in the series.
Mhm.
So he is a character.
I
There
don't-
was
I
a
don't know.
big detour there.
I don't know if he'll probably come back. I feel like
Maybe if they do a season 2, it's the kind of thing that they
Yeah.
would bring him back and just have an episode where he's just sat there chatting to him.
Yeah, possibly. But I quite liked that sort of relationship where
Yeah.
it's just this dude who gives absolutely nothing back to him, and he sort of sits and just kind of makes it very apparent. That
Steven's
this
a
is
little
not-
sweet guy though.
Yeah,
I like
he's
that.
A sweet, he's a little
yeah.
sweet guy, but he's also a very, very lonely guy.
Oh, here's a question.
Yeah.
So, in episode 1, a woman comes up to Steven and she's like, "Remember that date we planned?" And Steven's like, "I don't have a bloody clue, love. I don't bloody know, but I'll still bloody go on that date with you." One, if someone came up to me and they asked me if we were still going on that date, and I had no memory of making that date, I would just say no. I would just be like,
That's reasonable.
no.
Yeah.
But then
Okay.
I would also think, hang on a second, I have been waking up in random places and my fish died, and also like I'm tired all the time and I've got several broken bones. And also now there's a date that I don't know about. I think something's going on here. And I know he does think that, but like that would be the thing that would make me like fully be like, I need to see a therapist or a doctor.
Yeah.
I wouldn't just go on the date. And I know he misses
Also,
the date.
He's very,
but-
very fully aware of the fact that he has to surround his bed with sand and chain himself to it to make sure he doesn't get up and leave.
and bolt the doors several times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, surely Mark knows how to get out of all that shit anyway.
But he doesn't know about Mark yet.
Yeah, but he doesn't know about Mark, but Mark knows about it.
Yeah, but Mark knows how to get out and he does. And then he gets back in. That's the point. Mark knows about it, which is how he can.
Okay. Still do all his Moon Knight.
But also, right, a third person had to have asked her out on that date. Because we know Mark didn't. Mark is married to Layla.
Yes, this is true.
And yes, they're estranged, but he's still treating it like they're married. Like they've been apart.
Okay. So we'll come back to that in a minute because
Yeah.
there's
A third person
hints
did
to
that.
later on.
Yes.
But essentially, yeah. Okay. The fight scene in episode 1 in
At the end.
in Switzerland or wherever it is.
Oh, of course, yeah, somewhere in the Alps. I
Yeah,
think it's Switzerland.
That was sick.
Yeah,
I thought.
it was all the CGI was ropey as, but
Yeah.
the
But what,
fighting
in the car
excellent.
chase, there's like a car chase at the end, or like a truck
Yes,
or something.
there
he's
is.
driving a van or something like that.
And it's bad.
And yeah,
I mean, it's not bad. It's a great scene, but it looks a bit, it looks a bit ropey, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. There's a bit where some guys get hit by some logs, and it looks just awful, just rubbish.
Yeah.
Not good. Some really shit green screen, like driving green screen. Like looks a lot like.
I can forgive that.
It's like a movie from the 50s.
Given the pandemic, and I can see
No,
why. But then it makes me. I wrote it down in my notes. I would have then asked the question of why aren't they using the volume? Because the DC movies are now using it. The Batman uses it. The Mandalorian uses it. Boba Fett uses it. Thor, the new one, uses it. But why aren't they already using it? Busy. Is the volume busy or are they busy?
Volume's busy.
Oh, okay. Fair play. Scheduling conflicts.
Batman was in there, and they can't.
Batman was in there. Yeah, you can't have two superheroes in there. They fight.
No. Yeah, exactly. They beat each other up.
They beat each other up. Yeah, probably.
I reckon Oscar Isaac and Robert Pattinson would probably be a fairly fair fight.
No. Robert Pattinson wins because I think he'd scratch you. Also, I think
actually no, I reckon he'd go on his back and just kick his legs madly in the air so you can get near him.
Yeah. I think Oscar Isaac is too. It would be coming at it too much like a serious fight. Like he's blocking and he's throwing his punches. Robert Pattinson is the kind of guy to kick first, which we had an off-air conversation about. Anyone whose first move in a fight is to kick, don't fight that person. That is scary because a kick hurts for a start, but also is never your go-to. You always think, I'll punch or I'll hit or whatever, or I'll push them, maybe.
in your experience, in your great experience of combat.
Yeah, in my massive fighting experience. but never anyone who kicks or headbutts first.
Yeah.
Do not fight that person. And Robert Pattinson, he'd probably try and kick and headbutt first.
Yeah, he might go for a double kick and headbutt combo, mightn't he?
Double foot kick and headbutt. He'd jump and
he would jump and fold himself in half.
Yeah,
and launch himself forwards at you.
I wouldn't want to
End
fight him
end,
though.
both legs is like stretched straight out.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to fight Rob Pattinson.
I wouldn't want
For
to
a
fight either
variety
of them, to be
reasons.
honest. How tall is Robert Pattinson?
I think he's quite tall.
Yeah,
I think I've heard that he's quite tall.
yeah, he'd beat Oscar Isaac in a fight.
He is. He's 6 foot on the dot.
Okay, but
He's almost 6'1".
their agency would always lie. So he's 5'9". Take a couple
I can
inches off
see
for the
him-
Hollywood effect.
I can see him being 6 foot.
Because
To be fair,
Oscar Isaac supposedly is 5'8", 5'9". There's no way he is. There's no way in real life that man is that tall. And I know 5'8" and 5'9" aren't that tall. But Oscar Isaac's not that tall.
yeah, fair enough.
That man's 5'6".
5'6".
Is what I would say.
5'6" in heels. Okay. Aggressive UK vernacular. We've already been over that.
Yeah, we discussed that. Yeah, he
He works
does.
in a museum gift shop. How does he afford his mental London apartment?
Because
But
he's a
also,
mercenary.
he's
He's
a
got
mercenary,
he's
and
got
that's-
dual income.
This makes sense later.
And
on, but
he's
at the
married to
time, it was
Layla,
shit.
meaning triple income.
But she's not sending him cash.
Now they got a joint bank account.
Yeah, yeah, right.
He's completely rinsing it on London rent.
I wrote down, but I can't remember what happened in it. Final scene: Moon Knight and Mark reveal was good
Yeah,
shit.
so it's where the jackal chases Stephen through the museum,
Oh yeah.
and then
they had
that's
Okay.
awesome. That
Yeah.
just that as it pans round and you see Moon Knight, he's properly wailing on the jackal.
Mhm.
That is awesome.
That bit was great. I really liked that.
The action throughout this, we didn't say it before in spoiler free, but the action is great. Like all of that is really good.
Really, really well done.
Why is his boss so mean? Is she even his boss? Why is she so mean?
I don't know.
It's
and
like-
I've got a quote from her. "You're not the bloody tour guide, Stevie."
Yeah.
Was that her, or was that?
Yeah, no, that is-
CCTV man.
No, that is her, because he's like showing a girl, he's like, all the Egyptian gods. Why did you call me Mark? Why does everyone call me Mark? All the Egyptian gods, blah blah blah. And she's really
Yeah.
mean to him about it. But why is she so mean? I don't
know.
get it. Like, but it's specifically to him. And I don't know if that's something I don't know if it's just supposed to be a joke, or if do you think it's because she's just completely tired of the fact that he appears to work like one day a week and he's got a broken jaw, and also like sometimes he goes to America for months on end. Like,
To be fair, I'd probably get a bit sick of that quite easily.
just put him on a 0-hour contract and just be like, look, Steve,
Just have him
just,
rock up sometimes.
just turn up when you can.
So that if you need to work here, just rock up. You know,
Why does he need that job? Like, I get that.
because he loves history. He wants
I
to
know
do
he
it.
doesn't know. No, I know he doesn't know that he's got dual income, but he would look at his bank account and be like, shit, I got quite a good amount of money. I got mercenary money in here. I got some good money.
He'd look. Oh no! Because it's all in a duffel bag, in the storage thing.
Yeah. No, that can't be
Because-
all of the money though.
Nah,
Because how is he paying rent?
cash in hand. And
How did he
Mark
move
Spector
over
does
there?
it.
How did he move there though? He had to have Mark's
Spector does
money.
it cash in hand.
Hmm.
Also,
But-
Mark Spector can have things that Stephen Grant doesn't know about, but it doesn't work the other way around until later on.
Yeah, I know.
Because
Um,
so it becomes clear, and if you have seen the series, this isn't a spoiler. We realize that Mark created Stephen, and I got the impression that has until fairly recently been the one primarily in control.
Oh, yeah. So
Um,
Stephen appears only when Mark is facing some sort of like some sort of traumatic event as such, and that sounds like exaggeration when I say traumatic. I mean, like, so Stephen comes about because Mark's mum is abusive after the death of Mark's brother, and every time she's sort of, every time she is abusing him, Stephen comes out and sort of takes one for the team as such and absorbs all of that. And I think it's the same throughout his life. I don't know why necessarily Stephen is now out most of the time. I maybe it has something to do with Mark and Layla splitting. Maybe the fact that they've split and It just
Yeah.
means that Steven's got to be out more. I don't know. But episode 2,
Yeah.
they look at the CCTV footage of him turning into Moon Knight for the first time,
Yeah.
but Moon Knight never makes an appearance in the footage. It's always Mark and Steven. And I can understand why the Jackal doesn't appear in the footage. I understand that that's an Egyptian related thing, but so the Moon Knight,
like Egypt doesn't appear on cameras.
Egypt doesn't appear on cameras. No, it's true. But I understand that's an Egyptian god related thing. I understand that's Khonshu's whole thing, but the suit never appears. But then later on in the episode, Layla references the suit, meaning she's seen the suit. Why doesn't it appear on camera?
Maybe people can see it in person.
But why not on the camera?
Simply cannot be recorded.
I think that's stupid.
Too many megapixels.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Also, cameras, technologies, magic doesn't.
But I just don't get it because actually no, because he fights the Jackal as Mr. Knight, and sometimes it shows what other people are seeing. They still see Mr. Knight just punching nothing though.
Yeah.
They can't see the Jackal. They can see Mr. Knight. They can see the suit.
Yeah.
Why can't the camera see the suit? Because it's a plot point. I'm not just. This isn't just me doing one of my stupid bits where it's a plot point where they're like, "You're an idiot, Steven."
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
That would be that solved if they looked on the camera, even if he's punching nothing. That would be that solved when they see a crazy ornate Egyptian mummy suit form around him.
Yeah.
They would be like, oh, okay, maybe you're not mental. Maybe there's something else at play here in this universe full of superheroes.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I've got no idea. Because I don't know enough about the character, I suppose. But
that's not even a character thing. I think that's just an oversight.
Episode 3.
No, it's still episode 2. we only spoke about the Jack.
Skip over episode 2.
Yeah, I mentioned episode 2 about Mr. Knight. You sausage.
That's
something Stephen would
wonderful
say.
Quote. Area 51, MI6 bonkers, bruv.
Yes, I don't remember, but yes.
So after he kicks the shit out of the Jackal.
Oh, okay, yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. I did know. I know we've already spoken about the CGI, but the Jackal looked like shit. That was not good.
It did, yeah.
I didn't think that looked good.
I would like to see it. I'd like to see all these things in one of the movies. I'd like to see the Marvel CGI in recent movies has got a bit worse.
Yeah.
Since Endgame. But yeah, I wonder if it's a question of the fact that it's just a TV series. I know that it's a big budget Disney TV series, but I wonder if that's anything to do with the fact that it is still, when all's said and done, a TV series.
Yeah.
But that whole Mr. Knight reveal and that whole Jackal fight was quite good.
Yeah.
The Mr. Knight thing was confusing to me though, because and again, this is something that you're not a fan of the character out of the series, but Mr. Knight is almost a separate character in himself normally, and he's very much on a level with Moon Knight. So it was a bit frustrating. Yeah, it's a bit frustrating to me that like in this, it's almost he's just like PG Deadpool.
Yeah. Oh, he's just Steven in a suit.
But not even that though, because he's a bit more confident and he's a bit more like float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. My name's Steven with a V, and then properly twatting a Jackal in the face. Yeah. And that's where he says Wagwan. Now that we're in spoiler territory,
yeah.
He properly, and I mean properly, hammers a Jackal straight in the nose. And then, and to prove our point earlier, the Jackal's first move in that fight is to kick. You don't want to fight that Jackal. He kicks.
Terrifying.
Kangaroos kick. I don't want to fight a kangaroo. They kick. They punch as well, but they normally kick.
To death of a kangaroo.
Yeah.
Kangaroos are awful.
I wouldn't want to fight a kangaroo.
I wouldn't want to fight a kangaroo.
I don't really want to fight anyone particularly.
Part of their methodology behind kicking is that they jump up and then they can literally just like disembowel you with their feet.
Is that true?
Yeah, because they've got claws and shit on their feet, and they've been known to just disembowel people, just like rip their stomachs open and shit.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. This is a bit of Cloven Hoof exclusive trivia. I'm amazed at that.
Well, I think that's true. I again could be chatting
Put
absolutely.
it on the
rubbish.
forum. I'm desperate for people to put something on the forum.
Kangaroo.
Put it on the forum. Don't answer this. Alfie's looking it up right now. Alfie, do not confirm or deny. Put it on the forum. Can kangaroos disembowel you with their feet? Do you think a kangaroo could disembowel you with his feet without kicking? Do you think he has the dexterity to take a scalp at them?
Not with his feet. Not with his feet.
Okay.
definitely
What
not.
about with
Their
his
feet
hands?
are so long. Have they got thumbs?
On their hands or feet?
Thumbs on their hands.
Sure.
I reckon maybe.
Maybe they
Um,
do have thumbs, or maybe they could perform surgery.
Well, both, because one's dependent on the other.
So what you're saying is, if a kangaroo had thumbs, the thing holding a kangaroo back from performing surgery is his lack of thumbs.
That's the thing holding most animals back from surgery.
Is a lack
from
of thumbs.
performing surgery is a lack of thumbs. Because I mean, you can perform surgery. Like I could perform surgery. I wouldn't do a good job, but I could perform surgery.
Okay, successful. So it doesn't have to be successful in the sense like you can be a great surgeon and your patient can die. But what I mean is surgery that could potentially work. Not just, I'm not talking
I
about
could
just
do
cutting
surgery-
someone
I could-
open and
I could
rearranging
do
some
surgery
bits.
I could do surgery that could potentially work. It depends. Like how broadly are we taking could potentially?
Like
I could do surgery that could potentially work.
surgery that if you were really injured or you had a real condition going on and you can't go to a doctor for whatever reason, so you need to turn to someone to improvise, and you can't turn to a vet, and you can't turn to anyone with any medical training, but your best chances, that's what I'm talking. So like the best of the rest.
That's probably me, yeah.
That's you.
Or a kangaroo with thumbs.
Okay, so back on the record, we've just found out whether or not kangaroos can disembowel you, and but
It's not an answer that you want.
but we still want to know. We still want to know from you, the listener. Cloven-Hoof.com forum. Can kangaroos disembowel you? And would you trust a kangaroo with thumbs to be your surgeon?
Knowing what I now know.
Yes. Oh, okay. I would trust him more now I know what I know.
No, because no.
Proficient.
No, we're not going to get into this now. This is for the forum.
This is with the forum.
Let's talk Moon Knight episode 3.
Moon Knight episode 3.
Let's talk Moon Knight episode 3. I liked the way. So big thing happens towards the end of episode 3, but that's talk about that in a second. Well, not like big thing, but like something starts.
I don't remember.
Something starts to happen.
Oh, I do remember. I do.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
There's a little what I read inferred to be an Indiana Jones reference.
Yes, there is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where, it is good. I love it.
Yeah. The guy's he's kind of waving his knife around. He licks it or something. Oscar Isaac just punches him in the face.
Yeah.
And downs him instantly. I thought that was good. I thought that was really good. I enjoyed that.
I immediately, actually, do you know what my first note for episode 3 is? Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I think it's in reference to that. Yeah.
Okay. There's a bit where Oscar Isaac, as Mark Spector, I believe, delivers a really meager slap to someone that he was supposed to be taking out. And I inferred
the fight choreography is pretty good though.
The fight choreography
as a whole.
No, that's a thing that like he does, like he thinks about it and he does that. And I thought it was maybe something to do with the two personalities becoming closer together and Steven's sort of feeling guilty or whatever. He's like, he doesn't want to be beating up all these people, but he's along for the ride and he doesn't like it. And then Mark's just like, but then also the thing that I was just saying, starts to happen is there are bits where they're mid-fight and then it's a blackout, like a little cut. So the way they do the blackouts and the switching
Yeah.
between, so in the first episode, for example, he beats up a bunch of guys in. So
You don't see him.
Stephen finds himself. Yeah, Stephen finds himself in a little village in the Alps or something.
Yeah.
A bunch of guys turn up. He starts getting into a fight, or they start chasing him or something, and then there's a cut, like a hard cut, goes black for like a split second, and he comes back and he's like, "Oh, where the fuck am I?" And then you sort of see like a pile of dead bodies around him or something like that, and then you realize that was Mark who did all that.
Oh, hang on a second. Was it? Because yes, it was, but there is a point where you see in episode 5 all of the people that Mark has killed. None of them are there. I'm not getting into fully the possibilities of it. Other than that, is that maybe it's an oversight or maybe it's intentional. None of the people from episode 1 or 3. I mean, it's obviously not Mark in episode 3, but in episode 1, none of them are there.
Well,
in that room.
In episode 3, there's bits to where they're fighting. They're fighting some guys. I was wondering how Mark found just those men on top of that building and how he knew that they had anything to do with anything at all.
Been there for a bit though, hasn't he? Not for a while, but I think he's been there for a day or two at that point.
Just kind of on a roof.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who's tipping them off? How's he tracking them? What's going on here? But anyway, then Mark is fighting someone, blackout, come back, and then he's standing having just.
And he thinks Stephen has
shoved a knife in someone's chest, and he's like, "Stephen, what the fuck? That's."
You imagine if it was like the weedy Stephen, it's just like he's got a bloodlust. He's just murdering.
Well, and then Stephen's like, "I don't know, that wasn't me. I thought that was you." And so there's this implication of a third personality.
Yeah. So my time to shine.
Then,
So that will likely be Jake Lockley, who is he's a third personality. I think there are I know that normally there are 3 personalities to Moon Knight. You got Stephen Grant, you got Mark Spector, and you got Jake Lockley. And Stephen Grant is a millionaire, Mark Spector is a mercenary, and Jake Lockley is a cabbie. So normally he is like he deals with the street level crime. Like Jake Lockley and Mr. Knight deal with any like street level crime. Mark Spector deals with any Avengers level stuff, and then Stephen Grant's an idiot. But yeah, so that will be Jake Lockley. He also makes a hinted at appearance in episode 4 in a sarcophagus, but that's actually you see him, I think, in episode 3 in the knife. There's you can see them in the reflection. You can see the different personalities. There is in the knife, like in between the blood droplets, there's a completely just crazed Oscar Isaac staring back. Like it's not like in shock Stephen, and it's not Mark because Mark's out. There's just like a completely like wide-eyed, crazed like
Okay.
that I think is Jake Lockley.
I think I did notice that and didn't think much of it.
But it's a bit jarring the way they did. Like they focus on it, like that. Also, like it's so I don't think that's Stephen or Mark. I think from what I can tell, that is Jake.
Okay.
Who inevitably will probably appear in episode 6.
Okay. And
if he doesn't, then he'll appear in season 2.
Yeah. Okay.
If that happens.
What else happens in episode 3?
Episode 3, good question. The gods. We see the gods.
Yeah.
So
we see their avatars. We don't see the gods.
Yeah, sure. So Khonshu basically fiddles with the sky, like turns the stars a little bit so that he can get the gods' attention, and it's awesome. You get they go.
That shot is really cool. That was a sick moment.
And they teleport him into the middle of the Great Pyramid, and there's a meeting.
Because they have to use the stars to find.
That's later. So the first time he messes with the stars is to get the attention of the gods, and then they're like, "Don't ever do that again, you dipshit." And then he does it again, like immediately on a bigger scale.
So he does it again because they have to use the stars to navigate to find so
Oh, what the
what's the god called?
God? Good question.
Or like or someone's tomb. They had to find a tomb or some shit.
Yeah.
And the stars were used to plot out how to get to it, but the stars
think
have
that's-
shifted.
Is that
Stars
in
have
episode
shifted
three?
very. I see the episode 3 or 4.
Yeah.
But the stars have shifted ever so slightly over the course of the thousands of years since the map was made, and so
So they turn the
Khonshu-
stars.
Khonshu turns the
That's
stars
an
back
awesome shot, though.
thousands of time, like thousands of years, to like exactly where they were
Yeah.
then, so they can use the map accurately. And there's this really really cool shot of them standing
Of Stephen and Khonshu.
like standing on a sand dune,
Yeah.
doing the and then behind them the like crazy light.
I like the thought that like all the other Avengers are sat there at home and the sky is just going mental, and they're like,
all right,
not
so
my problem.
So we were talking about and we'll talk about this again when we get into the next segment of this episode, but I find it really really funny because of how crowded the MCU is, because there are so many superheroes and there are so many like different. Well, there's
It's
so
okay
much
because
shit
they're all
going
in
on.
New York. They're all
Yeah.
in New York.
They are all in New York.
They're
to be fair,
just
but
out in New York.
But they
chilling.
still would have seen. Oh no, because it might have been daytime in New York, mightn't it? At that point.
But yeah, but we'd just be
Stars might not be out.
flicking from like the sun's just moving about the place, like
Oh yeah.
like over thousands of years
Yeah,
of history.
Right, because what are they doing? Like where? So when like
Are they
I
moving?
can't
Are
remember.
they? Here's a question: are they
Yeah.
rotating the Earth at a ridiculous speed, which would just kill
where was
everyone?
Moon Knight? Where was Moon Knight in Far From Home?
Probably.
That was in London.
No, it wasn't. Oh, Far From Home. Yeah, it is in
What was he doing?
London.
Yeah.
I don't think he works like that. I think just Stephen would see it and be like, "Oh, I don't Adam and Eve it. What a plonker I must be seeing this."
Khonshu's like, oh, you must be my vengeance.
No, because I think
to everyone who deserves it. And so obviously Moon Knight would have been like, oh, fucking this bloke.
No, I think he's more of a. I think Khonshu that Khonshu traditionally is more. He means that in reference to stopping like the other gods and the other avatars of gods from fucking with the world. Like, but, so I don't think he'd care about Mysterio. I think he'd be like, whatever, Spider-Man's problem.
Okay.
I'm too busy being a bird. I'm Khonshu.
But although he does have that personality apparently who deals with street level crime, as you were just saying.
Yeah, but not yet.
Okay.
Also, that's not street level.
Nah.
Mysterio is not just your everyday bloke who's
exactly. So if he's concerned enough with street level crime,
yeah, but not yet.
Like, yeah, right, okay.
Not yet.
Okay.
And maybe that's not an MCU thing. That might just be a comics thing because.
To be fair, so thus far he has only faced off against just guys with guns, right? Not like super powered.
And it is all people that are standing in the way of an Egyptian god trying to mess with like humanity, which is what Khonshu's concerned about. That's his whole thing. Is he's.
So Khonshu's like a good guy, right? Kinda.
Yeah, he's like. So we're going to talk about a character later, the Punisher. Hint for later on in the podcast. Khonshu is like he's not a good guy, I guess, in the sense that he will just kill you, or he'll have his avatar kill you, but he's not going about killing good guys. No. He's only dealing with your Arthur Harrows.
He's only interested in bad blokes.
Yeah, bad blokes doing bad things. But so episode 3 has we get our first proper god content, and it's pretty cool. I like that they're starting to expand the MCU into these more mystical fantastic beasts, fantastical sides of it.
Fantastic beasts, didn't we? Because you've got the
we did meet some fantastic beasts, the jackals and the hippo,
lady.
I
love the hippo lady.
I got a note on that. Why is she English? She's an Egyptian god. Why is she English?
Yeah, this is a
I know
good question.
Khonshu's, not Egyptian, but Khonshu's got a vague voice. She's very just clearly friendly
She's just
English.
an English lady, isn't she?
Yeah. Why?
I guess Khonshu's got big scary god voice. She's just a friendly English hippo.
Yeah. That's not a problem. Why though?
Maybe she's a hippo from London Zoo.
maybe she's a I to do some writing for the writers. It could just be that she's from Stephen's side of the brain. Is
Yeah,
she's a
yeah.
Stephen thing because
She could be a
it would
Stephen thing.
seem we're skipping ahead now. We're gonna dump the episodic structure. She is
Okay.
the afterlife. It would seem is whatever it's whatever you perceive it to be. So for Stephen and Mark, it's a psych ward, and it's really well done. But for like,
If we're gonna dump the episodic structure, can we
mm,
just talk about
can we
that?
talk about the psych ward? Yeah, yeah.
The end of episode 4 and episode 5,
Mm-hmm.
because there's not much to say about the start of episode 4. I don't think.
Nope, it's
Um,
not. It's fine.
it's fine. They go.
It's Tomb Raider
They go.
stuff. They're raiding some
They go in
tombs.
the tomb. They go in the tomb. Important bit.
They
Essentially,
get they got they get shot by
yeah.
Arthur Harrow.
Stephen
Yes,
and Mark. Arthur Harrow shoots. Is he in Mark mode? He's in.
I
Port
think
Stephen
he's
mode.
in Mark mode because I think Mark takes the body because Stephen's
Oh
been
yeah,
too
because
busy
he's gonna
kissing
try and-
Layla.
Yeah, and he's gonna try and fight like all of those. Like, there's like 20 dudes with machine guns.
Oh,
then-
he's actually quickly he's so Khonshu has been banished, so Moon Knight is no more for the minute. So he doesn't have the suit, he doesn't have the powers,
Yeah.
which is how Arthur
Khonshu
Harrow
gets banished
shoots
for
him.
doing the big sky thing.
For doing the
taking
sky
us
thing,
back
yeah.
Thousands of years. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah. So he gets shot, falls into big,
Yeah. What does he fall into?
like a big loads of water, just sinks.
Yeah. Because if he's not dead from the gunshot, he's dead because he drowned.
Yeah. But essentially he wakes up. He wakes up and he's been sedated and he's in a psych ward, and then Arthur Harrow is his psychiatrist,
Hmm.
or like the head of the psych ward.
All of the people in the psych ward are characters that he's come across.
Yeah.
Crawley is back. Did you notice he's in it?
No, I didn't.
He's doing the bingo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's not painted, but he's in it. Yeah.
Essentially, you start to question, or I did, I don't know, instantly, has any of this actually happened?
Yeah. I
and-
think I sort of gathered from the like whole context of it that it had, but then they do it in such a way where they're putting in like Stephen Grant is actually a movie star. So they do it in such a way, I think, where you think like actually maybe is that the reality of it, and he hasn't been shot and he hasn't been Moon Knight. He's just crazy.
Because he's in the office with
Arthur Harrow.
Yeah, Arthur Harrow. And he keeps switching between him and Mark and Stephen walking through, which is done really well, by the way, because a lot of the time you see people do it where there's the same guy playing two people, and they've tried to put them in the same room with CG, and it looks.
Oh
weird.
yeah, no, they do it really well. Yeah,
It's great.
Yeah.
And then it keeps cutting between him then being back in the office, and then he'll start kicking off, he'll go mental, they'll sedate him, and then it's back to him and Stephen walking around trying to work out what the fuck is going on, trying to find their way out of the afterlife back into the real world, so they can awaken Khonshu and or free Khonshu, and then get the Moon Knight suit back, so they can save the.
So they can heal and not die.
Heal and not die and stop Arthur Harrow.
Yeah.
But between those moments of them trying to do that, you keep being put back into the office in the cycle.
Yes.
And so I was sort of wondering, is any of this real at all, and is any of this story up to this point real? Because also he says that he admitted them. Mark took them to the psych ward after their mum died.
Yeah.
and so
I love the moment where he gets him to call his mum,
yeah.
and that's so then Mark's mum, Mark is the original, um, and his mum is dead, but Stephen doesn't know it. Stephen, as far as he knows, has been talking to his mum on the phone for donkey's years, as I'm sure he'd say. Um, the way they reveal that his mum is dead is really well done when Arthur Harrow forces Stephen to phone her.
Yeah.
I don't know, it might sound stupid. Oscar Isaac has a real chemistry with himself. The way he acts and interacts with himself, it's so convincing. Like he has a real. I know he's obviously not acting with himself, but it must be so hard to film a scene and then film that scene as a different character and have a chemistry with yourself.
Well, so because I think probably because I was going to say, well, because I was just saying that looks great when they do the shots of them interacting together, but I sort of was thinking, oh, that looks great from a like a compositing point of view, and they've done it well, and there's but actually, large amount of the reason it looks so good is because you're right, he does a really really convincing job of being both of those characters in the same room acting presumably to nothing.
Well, his brother, Oscar Isaac's brother, is the stand-in. So I guess that makes it easier if you're acting to your brother, but it's still hard because you've just played the scene and then you've got to do it all again. Like he's good. He is really good. We've said that, but he's great.
Yeah, I just can, as the series goes on, particularly in the episode 4 and 5, I was just sort of continually impressed by him, and particularly him. Again, Arthur Harrow gets more play and starts to.
Ethan Hawke is much better from episode 3 onwards. So from his when he interrupts the meeting of the gods, that's what I was saying earlier when I said there is a point where he starts to sort of shine.
Yeah.
That when he interrupts the meeting of all the avatars of the gods and he does his thing and he reveals himself to be the last Moon Knight.
Yeah.
He from that point on and then into when he's playing the psychiatrist.
Yeah.
He's so good. He's really good. But this whole psychiatric ward thing is ripped like beat for beat from there's a comic book run from 2016 by Jeff Lemire, and it is it's Mark Spector has been admitted to a psych ward and he doesn't know what's real and what's not real and he has to escape, and it is like frame by frame, page by page, shot by shot the same. And I love that. I think it's really, if you've read it before, you kind of know what's going on. But I love that they've taken what I think is probably one of the best comic books of all time and adapted it so closely, because it's people always say there's always like this theory of what if Batman is crazy and he's in Arkham Asylum and the Joker's one of his orderlies, but they actually do it in the TV show. They have the balls to actually commit to it and do it.
Yeah.
And I love it. And I love that it's faithful to the comic books, but also I just love the fact they've done it on TV. I love the fact they've actually committed to that.
I also think the handling of the topic is excellent.
Yeah.
Because there's a worry that when you try and make I say this is something that I've done and had to deal with personally. But like there's a worry that when you try and get into topics like that, about like serious sort of mental health issues and childhood trauma, but not in a kind of Bruce Wayne's parents got shot kind of way.
The actual real,
like,
I know people have their parents shot, but I mean like that sort of thing that a lot of people deal with. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you try and get into that in the context of a comic book superhero movie, it's probably very easy to belittle it a little bit.
Or trivialize it.
Yeah, that's probably a better word, trivialize it. But I think the way that it's handled and the way that it's made apparent that the characters, so Ethan Hawke as the psychiatrist, the way that he very obviously mishandles it,
Mm.
the fact that that's a plot point and that's something that is made apparent, I think it was really, really, really well done. Um,
I think it is
and
throughout though. I think
yeah, no,
even
no,
when they're not doing this, the way that they don't present, because it's dissociative identity disorder.
yeah,
Um, I think it would be really easy to just be like, look at this wacky guy who's so many people in one body. But they do play as
yeah,
this guy is genuinely struggling, and he's like, why am I so tired all the time? And why am
yeah,
I?
yeah,
I they yeah, they handle it really well.
yeah. And I don't know, I that's just something that I noticed and that I
Yeah,
thought was quite apparent, that there was obviously, and I think it's something that you probably have to do more than you ever have had to in. I don't want to
that
say
doesn't
like
mean
the
people
current.
will though.
No, no, and I don't want to say like the current climate, but also
No, but
it's
rightfully
good
so.
and it's good
Yeah,
and it's good, but it comes across that a lot of people have actually probably done a lot of fucking research,
yeah. I
and
think it probably
and
does
that
come down to the fact they've actually done the research.
yeah,
Yeah,
and that's brilliant, and that's really, really good to see on screen in such a in such like a prominent place as well, like
yeah,
the MCU, like is really, really cool to see that kind of topic discussed in, not discussed, but presented in a humane way that isn't just like,
yeah.
crazy guy,
Hmm.
like you were saying. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's
it
I
could
think
easily be that, but they don't do that.
yeah, and I really liked that about this show.
That's something I liked about, and I think we mentioned the same show in the first episode, and you said you haven't watched it. But Peacemaker, in
Oh yeah,
that his dad is abusive, and so
yeah,
he's obviously come away with some pretty. Uh, he's come away pretty messed up, and he's also got some very backwards ideologies in that. But they handle it really
yeah,
well, and it's a bit of a theme at the minute that these uh, shows, not just superhero shows, but these shows and movies are starting to branch out into territories they may have very much mishandled like 10 years earlier,
yeah,
but now they can do it, and I don't know why that is. I don't know if that's because people have just finally actually started calling these companies out for their bullshit.
yeah,
I think it's gotten us to a point now where they actually do the research before just pumping
yeah,
out just some really damaging stuff as such.
yeah.
Yeah, they do it. It's great.
Um, I was so slightly off topic, but with the new Matrix movie, so that's an example of somewhere where it wasn't handled particularly well.
Yeah.
I think also the perpetual idea that idea of like suicide as a way out, like a viable way out.
Do they do
Like
that in that film?
he's just like he's suicidal in it
Okay.
at points
I
before
guess
he
I
gets
can
lifted back out
see you would
back out of
be.
the Matrix. Um, but he's just like jumping off buildings kind of semi regularly.
Oh,
But then he's like,
okay.
oh, he's the one, and then so he can't die, and then they reset him. I can't remember what the
But
fucking
also,
plot is.
wouldn't every
But
time you killed yourself, wouldn't you just be like, this doesn't work? I'm in a
well,
computer.
I don't know, but there's also a bit at the end where uh, there are just like hundreds of people just throwing themselves out of buildings and using themselves as like human bombs to try and stop Neo.
That's
Um,
odd.
yeah, there's a lot of quite aggressive and quite I don't know, poorly handled
Do you think that's a result of
stuff around.
a 90s
Uh,
franchise that hasn't grown up?
no, because the whole point of the movie is that it's so self-referential, and it's so like it's going, look, oh my god, look how we've really changed, and we're doing we're name dropping Warner, we're name dropping our parent company Warner Brothers. We're talking about like what people want from the Matrix in the new era, like we're doing the Matrix. We're doing a movie where the Matrix exists as a video game franchise within this movie that we're doing, but so do all the characters who were in the movie, who were in the video game franchise that exists as a movie series in our world, but in their world, a video game franchise. If I could say that one more time, that'd be nice. And it's like, no, we're so grown up, and we're doing. Look at this, we're doing it all, and we're going, oh, bullet time. It's Neil Patrick Harris. He's doing bullet time, but it's different this time because it's where Neil Patrick Harris is slow frame rate and everything else is not.
Oh, because he's in a video. Okay.
Right? No, because he's not in a video. No,
What?
because Neil Patrick Harris isn't in a video game because
So he's got the low frame rate superpower.
Yeah, it's
Great
kind of weird.
superpower,
I
though.
actually think that bit looked really cool, and a lot of people shout on that bit where they did the new bullet time. But I think the bit where it's Neo and he's regular frame rate, but he's been slowed right down, and then Neil Patrick Harris is walking around and then he's like doing stuff, and his hands are moving in like slow, blurry frame rate, but everything else around him is going at the right speed. I thought that looked pretty cool, but people hated it.
I'll have to check it out.
But anyway, though, yeah, I think in comparison, because the Matrix Revelations.
I don't
whatever
know.
it's called.
I don't remember the Matrix franchise as a whole. I have no memory
I
of
just
it.
mean the latest one.
Oh, is that the new
try
one? Even
Yeah,
better.
they try and talk. They do try and talk about like cover sort of subjects of mental health and Neo's struggle with his issues, where he kind of, he feels disillusioned with it all, and he's like, who the fuck am I, and what is it go, like, I don't know, he's just incredibly depressed. I think is
That's a
Neil
bad
Patrick-
sign. The fact that you have to say, I think. I feel
yeah,
to
and
bring it
Neil,
back
and
to
Neil
Moon
Patrick
Knight.
but Neil Patrick Harris is just giving him he's just giving him blue pills to take, and it's the blue pill because it's keeping him in the system and it's keeping him suppressed. You know, they're giving him his medication and it's keeping him, you know, and really what he needs to do is break away from it and embrace, you know, I don't know, like
That feels like
jump
maybe
off
the
jump off
wrong
the building.
message.
That's what he needs to do.
Yeah, that sounds like a
Because
proper
it's-
Kanye West, like I'm off the
Yeah.
meds.
Yeah. But the fact that the main antagonist in the movie like isn't Agent Smith, even though he is in it, but played by someone else.
Yes, yeah, I
But,
did read that the other day.
But it's the analyst, it's Neo's therapist. He's the main bad guy, and because
Right.
he's been put into the Matrix as a character who would be supposedly someone you could, you know, trust and go to, but so he gets like ultimate insight into Neo's life, and then it turns out that he's the bad guy pulling all the strings, and so it's just like, it's not really, it's trying to be, you know, opening up the question of, it's supposed to be talking about mental health, but essentially just does it in a way that's quite reductive, and just sort of villainizes just sort of villainizes therapists, and also makes it seem like, you know, if you're mentally ill, you
Don't
need
take the meds.
You don't need the meds. They're just keeping you down. They're keeping you in the rat race.
Stopping you from seeing the real picture,
Yeah.
which is the
taking the-
unmedicated picture.
Keep taking the blue pill. Keep taking the blue pill, man. Like, yeah, sure. Keep taking the blue pill. Don't you won't see what life's really got in store for you. There is very, very heavy-handed, and there's no kind of, there's no going like, oh, this is like a perfectly viable way to deal with mental issues. It's like, no.
Also, what you're saying is
No.
he should have taken the red pill every day.
No.
He should
He
take
just
both.
taken-
He should take the
no,
blue and red pill.
No, in the movie, he should have just been taking regular pills.
Prozac.
No, he should have just been taking it for the movie's sake. He shouldn't have been taking something that was very obviously saying, what you are taking right now is keeping you suppressed, and it's keeping you down, and it's keeping you.
Yeah, that's
keeping you
weird.
it's doing what you're staying. What, you know, this is, the man wants you to take this. The man wants you.
Big
The
Pharma.
man wants you to. Yeah, I just thought it was handled badly. And I did enjoy bits of that movie, but I just think there were lots of it. There were lots of it that was just very heavy-handed in various ways.
We're
in
going
a
to change the title of
commentary
this
and-
podcast to Moon Knight and The Matrix.
I don't want to know.
This is no longer Moon Knight and the Midnight Suns. You're hearing it here first.
Okay.
We tricked you. It's Moon Knight and The Matrix 4.
Moon Knight-
The Matrix 4, a film that one of us hasn't seen and a film that one of us didn't like. So,
To be fair,
Good start.
I didn't mind it, and I didn't hate it as much as everyone else did.
He's saying that
But
'cause he's been taking the blue pill. He's saying that because that's what the
I've been taking
man
the
wants
blue
him to
pill.
say.
I've been taking the blue pill.
He's taking the blue pill every day since he
The
watched it.
Wachowskis have been posting me, been
Blue
posting me
pills.
blue pills. I've
That's
been
really
taking
good of
it.
them actually to do that,
Yeah,
to
I know.
personally to take the time out of their very busy schedules, whatever they're doing. Probably The Matrix 5.
I doubt that. No, that film did not get a fucking sequel. There's no way.
The Matrix video game franchise. They're busy making the Matrix video games.
They're probably doing Cloud Atlas 2.
Did they do
How many
that?
cloud-
Did they
how
did
many
they do that?
How many Cloud Atlases are there? They did do Cloud Atlas.
Did they? What
Yeah,
else
yeah.
have they done? That's a discussion. Do
Ascending,
you know what? That's a
Ju-
discussion.
Jupiter Ascending, Speed Racer, fucking what's another Wachowski sisters movie?
This is impressive off the top of your head to be able to rattle off Wachowski films.
I haven't seen any of them.
Oh, that's worrying actually that you can just immediately just. But that's a discussion for a different time. I think it's time to move on to. So, Moon Knight. Moon Knight is a character in the Marvel comics. Alfie, if you are a comic book writer in the early
Animatrix,
90s.
Bound, The Invasion, V for Vendetta, Assassins,
He doesn't like this
Ninja
bit.
Assassin, The Matrix Revisited, The Matrix Reloaded, The Matrix Speed Racer, The Matrix Revolutions, Cloud Atlas, and Jupiter Ascending. That is every
Right.
Wachowski sisters movie.
Good for them. They are, if
They are killing it. They're
I
killing
would
it out
argue,
here.
forget the Coen brothers. They are the best sibling directorial duo ever.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
Forget the Russos, forget the Safdies.
Yeah.
The Wachowski sisters are
Where it's
the
at.
best
Yeah,
ever.
where it's at.
But if you're a comic book writer in the 90s, and I bring to you a selection of characters. I'm Stanley. I'm Stanley, and I walk into your office. I kick down the office door. It's on the floor. And I bring to you a hat, and the hat has in it has pieces of paper, and it's got Morbius, Iron Fist, Doctor Strange, Blade, The Punisher, Werewolf by Night.
Yeah.
Not yet Moon Knight. It has other such characters. It has all of the members of the Darkhold, and I empty that hat onto your desk, and I shuffle them around. And then I say to you, Alfie, you need to create a team out of these comic book characters. And a few years down the line, that team will also have Moon Knight in it. Bear that in mind. What would you call that team?
The
Avengers is taken. You can't call it the Avengers.
The Noon Daughters.
That's close. I Stan Lee have decided. I've already got a name in my head, and I won't leave your office. I'm going to stand here on the spot, and I won't breathe. I'll stand here holding my breath and throwing punches until you get it right.
The like.
But after one more guess, I'll just say it.
Tea Time Siblings.
All right. Well, I'm still Stanley in this bit. You're an idiot. What I wanted you to say was the Midnight Suns. We are going to discuss the Midnight Suns.
Of course. The Midnight Suns.
That's actually fun fact. That's how they were created. Stanley kicked down the office door of some poor comic book writer, and he threatened to hold his breath till they gave a name.
He threatened to go on hunger strike.
And so we have watched a collection of we've watched a collection of Marvel properties, ranging from TV series to movies, containing characters from the Midnight Suns.
All right. We've watched a bunch of shit.
It was mostly shit.
It was mostly shit.
No, that's not true. That's not true. One of it was big shit. No, two of it's Morbius.
We're gonna talk about Morbius again.
We got to talk about Morbius right now
because you all loved it the first time, and you're gonna love it again because the Midnight Suns.
So, do we want some backstory on them? Basically, or just
I mean,
yeah,
they know about
little.
Morbius.
No, not Morbius. I mean, So the Midnight Suns are a team. They were formed in 1992. In the comics, it's Ghost Rider. Two Ghost Riders are like, shit, there's a threat. It's not a regular threat. It's a supernatural threat. We don't have a team that deals with this. Let's make a team that deals with this. So they make a team. There we are.
Okay.
That's that. They made a team.
So we've been over who the Midnight Suns traditionally contain.
Yeah, yes. There's loads of members, but Morbius is always Morbius is one of them. He's since the start. He has been in every incarnation of the Midnight Suns.
Let me just get out my Morbius notes.
So you can go back, and episode 1 we go fully into depth of Morbius and just how ridiculous that film is. So yeah, I don't really think we need to give much more on it. It's terrible, and we went into full depth. But I have a question for you: is if they say 5 years down the line they announce a Midnight Suns movie and it's got Oscar Isaac as Moon Knight and it's got Mahershala Ali as Blade, do you give Jared Leto the call to play Morbius in it, or do you just?
I personally don't,
him
because it's just been announced.
Well, he's the
and I don't.
Yeah.
I don't call him up. But if I were in the studio, I would
ignore the fact he's a terrible bloke. Ignore the fact that he's up to some things.
No, I don't think so, because no one's getting drawn. No Morbius fans.
No, because do you think that
no one wanted that, no one asked for that movie, no one enjoyed it.
Right, no, but here's the thing. So Andrew Garfield, people hated him as Spider-Man. They hated him. But you announced him for No Way Home, and I know it's very different, but you announced him for No Way Home and everyone loved it. Do you think in 5 years' time, Morbius has become a cult phenomenon and they say Jared Leto is back?
I guess in the same way that people were really, really disappointed with the Star Wars prequels, right?
Initially. Yeah, and then
and now
they love them. Hayden Christensen's back for Kenobi, and people love it.
No, but I suppose that's like 20 years now plus, right?
Yeah.
And so there's that nostalgia thing of people, like kids grew up with them, like people who were born in the late 90s.
Would you not say that kids are growing up with Morbius right now? And Morbius only?
I hope to God that no child is growing up with Morbius right now. Because that is going to sour you.
Okay, Jared Leto played the Joker and he was terrible. But they got him back for the Snyder Cut of Justice League, and people were quite excited to see it because it's a second stab at a terrible character in a different film, a different direction. If you've got a fully Kevin Feige controlled Midnight Suns film, bigger budget, better cast, better script writing, better CG, do you get it? Also,
better film,
a variant of Morbius. It could be a variant, like from Loki.
Yeah.
But the correct answer was no. You don't call him back. Who do you call though? Who would you get to play Morbius in the MCU? What creepy actor? Keanu Reeves is Morbius.
No, I would want Keanu Reeves.
He's too nice.
I'd want Keanu.
He nearly played Moon Knight. He was nearly Moon Knight.
I wouldn't have liked him as Moon Knight.
No, he would have been terrible.
Yeah.
He'd be terrible as Ghost Rider too, though. He's not a good actor.
No, I know he's not, but he's
very Nick Cage.
No, but Nick Cage is. We'll talk about this in a minute.
Yeah, we got lots of thoughts on this one.
Nick Cage is good in that movie because he's so shit. But I think that character needs to kind of be, just really sad and kind of depressed all the time. And sometimes he turns into a big flaming skull and pulls out a shotgun. And
I know who
his big chopper
needs to be Ghost Rider, but I'll say that later on. There's one that he needs to be. There's a guy who needs to be him, but I'll say that later.
I'm trying to think who you mean. You haven't told me this. I
haven't. You haven't. You don't know this. So, but do you think Morbius even translates to cinema? Do you think that because Morbius would be great in a Spider-Man video game, he's great in a Spider-Man animated show, but do you think they just need to ditch? Because Midnight Suns is there's a very good chance it will happen when they have the characters in the MCU. There's a very good chance that they'll do a team up movie. I think you ditch Morbius, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's a good question. Does Morbius translate to screen? I think in many ways not at all.
No, definitely not as a
And
solo character.
no, and I've never read a Morbius comic, for example.
They're fine
But
at best.
I don't really know what that character's supposed to be, like what he's supposed to be like.
Yeah.
Sort of like if there were Morbius fans who would have watched that and been disappointed because they didn't portray him properly.
I think they're pretty close to it. To be fair, that's not the bad bit of that film because it's pretty close to the character. The bad bit of it is everything else. And
Yeah.
but I just don't think that they could make it work. I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
I think it's. I don't know. Because there's a certain amount of suspending of disbelief that the Marvel movies force you to do.
Yeah.
But that's fine when the rest of the film is watchable.
Yeah. No, it needs. Yeah. But then
But
that's what I'm
just
saying. Is if it's Kevin Feige done.
The storyline of Morbius is just so fucking stupid. And then when like his motives are understandable because he's got a weird incurable blood disease, but that could obviously have just been cured with blood thinners.
But also with the gallons of blood that he's got in a freezer.
Yeah.
And presumably that's not all of the blood. He's presumably got more somewhere else.
He's probably got shitloads of blood.
He could just go to a hospital and get a blood transfusion.
We're talking about Morbius again. We need to not talk about.
Yeah, so I'm making the executive decision. I'm Stan Lee and I'm still stood in your office. I've kicked down the door and I've reached over to the desk and I've said, actually, I'm just going to take that one back. And I grabbed the piece of paper that says Morbius and I've pocketed it.
Okay, cool, good.
This is 20 years later when we're now making a movie. This is in fact, this is 30 years later.
As you take Morbius away from me, I'm on my knees and I'm praying you.
Thank you much. Because you had a problem here with that character.
Yeah. Thank you so much for taking this shit off my desk.
Would you say that you are also moving swiftly onto Ghost Rider?
Yes, I would.
Which I was going to do a segue for that of speaking of terrible movies, let's talk about Ghost Rider.
This poor shit fuck film.
So we're going to do a bit more of we're going to keep it brief, but we're going to do a bit of a review for this one. This film started out and we thought it was going to be so fun because it starts out and it's Red Dead Redemption cowboy Ghost Rider and he's motoring on his horse and it's excellent. And then
obviously we knew that wasn't going to be everything.
Oh no, sure, we knew what we were in for, but from the tone of that, you look at that and you think, yeah, okay, we're in for a bit of a fun treat.
Yeah,
and it is a fun treat, but it's a terrible fun treat. It's like it's about as fun
in the sense that I will tell you exactly the way in which it was a fun treat. My favorite crisps for the listeners are the Co-op. They do salt and vinegar crisps, own brand Co-op salt and vinegar crisps. They literally shed the inside lining of your mouth because they are so acidic. They are so vinegary. It's insane, and I love them because I love vinegar. Call me weird. Those crisps destroy the inside of your mouth, but they're so delicious. So they're like a terrible fun treat.
No, so that is too nice because you used the term "so delicious" there. So I'm vetoing your description because you did it a solid. What I'm going to say is, imagine you're with your friends and one of them's got a handheld camera, and then the other one of them kicks you so hard in the balls. That's going to really hurt, right? But then you get a little bit of it softens the blow a bit when you get to watch the video back and it's pretty funny and you're like, no, that's pretty funny, but it still really hurt your balls and it doesn't really take away the pain. You just had a little bit of a funny video to watch as well.
So yeah, I guess it was a bit like that.
So yeah, that's how I feel Ghost Rider is. Yeah, so we're gonna give a brief plot overview, I guess. So the film opens up and it's a past Ghost Rider. It's full spoilers for Ghost Rider, by the way. It's
if you haven't seen Ghost Rider, this is on you. This is an old film.
So it's Sam Elliott. So it's Sam Elliott as Ghost Rider, which is awesome. Like like the best possible casting choice ever. And it's great. And then it cuts to sometime 100 years later, and Johnny Blaze, terrible name, who
Appalling name.
is played by a dude who looks nothing like Nick Cage. Gets approached by the devil and made into Ghost Rider, and also he gets turned into Nick Cage, and
Part of his punishment.
and then the
Making
plot
a
sort of
deal with
ends
the devil,
there.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so it feels. You said while we were watching it, and you were saying that particularly in the opening bit, right? The first sort of act of the movie before he is Nick Cage, feels like it just feels just like a shit Michael Bay film. It feels like a film that
The whole
Michael Bay
film
sort
does
of-
though.
Yeah, it does a little bit, but I think particularly the first bit,
Yeah,
it feels
it-
like
tonally
the
definitely.
start of a movie that Michael Bay got halfway into directing and was just like, actually, fuck this.
It feels like in Transformers when Shia LaBeouf meets Megan Fox and she's fixing his car and stuff, and just I think if you watch it, you'll know exactly what I mean. That might make no sense if you're just listening, but if you watch Ghost Rider, I think you'd be like, yeah.
I've got a bunch of notes about Ghost Rider actually.
We got a load of notes. I think we'll.
All right, so right at the start, so Johnny Blaze finds out his dad's got cancer.
Yes, yeah.
He goes to.
Hold on, no, real quick. He finds out because for some reason he just decides to root through the bin, like just randomly.
He roots through the bin, presumably to look for letters about a member of his family having a disease.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
like, oh,
And he finds one.
I wonder if he got any of these, and he's like, oh, the fuck, this has never worked out like this before. Yeah, it turns out my dad does indeed have. Isn't it just chest cancer?
Yeah,
general
yes.
chest.
Yeah,
Just kind of, yeah, okay.
and it's terrible casting for young Johnny Blaze as well. Well, it's awful.
Yeah. I've written Johnny Blaze, young Nick Cage, young Johnny Blaze.
He gets so upset that his dad has cancer that he goes off to fix a bike in the middle of the night at a circus in the rain.
Yeah, and essentially, I've got stupid fucking moron believes man who walks in claiming to be able to cure his dad's cancer in exchange for his soul.
Yeah,
So the devil walks in while he's fixing his motorbike. He's like, oh, I know your dad's ill and I can make him better, but you're going to have to sign this contract with your blood that gives you my soul. And he's just like in fucking Morbius policeman style going, oh yeah, probably a vampire. Johnny Blaze is just
probably
like,
a devil.
Yeah, Johnny Blaze is just like, oh yeah, right.
Yeah,
Like,
but then
what?
if it's the middle of the night, it's thunder, it's rain, lightning, you're in a circus and a guy approaches you, 50-50 chance he is the devil, to be fair.
Well, yeah, but
50-50. He's not up to any good, I'll give, immediately.
Yeah, this is true.
So it wouldn't be too big of a stretch to assume he's the devil.
Yeah, I suppose not.
Specifically the biker devil as well. He's very intent on having a Ghost Rider and not just a. He's doing a Khonshu.
Yeah, he is, isn't he?
He's just doing a Khonshu. Yeah,
he's doing a Khonshu. Johnny Blaze and Johnny Blaze's dad are just like bad motorcyclists. Like their entire livelihood is doing evil Knieveling.
They die several times, I think, each.
Yeah.
But Johnny definitely dies like 3 times through motorcycle.
Over a ramp through a fire hoop, and he just kind of slips over.
And then he just kind of, I think, gives up the will to live because he shouldn't die.
Well, because it was the devil going, I cured his cancer, but haha.
But I murdered him.
Yeah, but I murdered him anyway. Like that was, I suppose, not technically breaking the contract.
Yeah, he got him on a technicality.
Yeah, he did. He pulled him up with the small print.
The small print did say, actually, I will murder your dad in a couple days' time.
Should have read the fucking. To be fair, if you're signing a contract with the devil, you probably do want.
You should read it, yeah. But then, so Johnny watches his dad die, and then he immediately goes and dies. He gets on a bike, and then he has a weird, odd crash and just dies.
Well, because
He crashes into nothing.
doesn't he have like this kind of he has a kind of like thought about the devil or something?
The devil
Like,
like
flashes.
appears in the middle of the road and he comes to
Yeah.
a stop, but he sort of
He does
tumbles
like a
off the
little
bike.
yeah, he does like a cool sideways like slide or attempts to like to stop, to do like a drift.
But it just flings him into the air a bit.
Yeah, he flings him into the air and he
But
just falls off
also
and hits his
not
head. And then the
fast
devil's like, "Oh, I
enough
brought
to
you
kill
back.
him.
Like I saved you." The devil's like, "I saved you." So presumably he just falls off. He just topples off his bike, hits his head, and that would have just been it.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
he
that's
just
it. Like
dies.
he's dead. And it's
Yeah.
not at the point of his crash, he's not going that fast. And also,
No.
like, you would think the devil has presumably picked him because of his motorcycling skills.
Yeah.
So if you're the devil and you're like, oh yeah, I picked Johnny Blaze, I'm gonna kill his dad, and then Johnny Blaze immediately fucking dies in a motorbike crash. At what point are you like, maybe I should just tear the contract up? maybe we're done here, because he
like,
doesn't
he
get
does
better at
nothing
riding his
real.
bike either.
No.
So we're gonna skip on a little bit. There's a scene.
Just before we do skip on, I just want to make the quick point that it looks horrible. Like all the color grading is.
The color grading is
It's
terrible.
disgusting. But the movie.
We do get, and we're not going to make the mistake we made on the last episode where we open the podcast with a bit we forget to mention. We do get some just a completely ridiculous amount of Nick Cage in this tight leather Evel Knievel suit, and it's glorious. It's great. I thought we were going to be robbed of it because in the opening, you're panning slowly up sort of this biker in an Evel Knievel suit, and I said, holy shit, we're going to get Nicolas Cage in an Evel Knievel suit. Turns out not to be Nick Cage. So I thought we were robbed of it. And then about 10 minutes later, we get it.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
It was incredible.
So that's a silver lining. But so later on in the movie, Nick Cage, and also, so I'm saying later on, you might think they've skipped so much story content. We've missed out on so much. You have to be fair, you have missed out on about 45 minutes of movie, but in that 45 minutes of movie, there's no story.
No.
Nick Cage is chasing a poor woman up the freeway on his bike, and he is just a dangerous driver. He's terrible. He's doing wheelies and he's doing stoppies and he's legs over the handlebar.
The reason he is chasing a poor woman up the freeway on his motorbike is
he loves her,
because it's his childhood sweetheart who he had to leave to go and be Ghost Rider, or something. But then she turns out to be a news reporter, and he's going to Evel Knievel jump over about a
ridiculous number of trucks.
Just like it's just
insane. Hang on a sec though. He stacks it there as well. He fails. He stacks it. He's a terrible motorcyclist.
He's shit.
Yeah, I mean, he's not. To be fair, I'm not saying I couldn't jump 100 buses, but don't make your whole personality. Don't make your whole personality that, and then also no. In fact, no, he doesn't. He crashes in an earlier jump. He crashes in. No, he crashes in an earlier jump. This is the baffling thing about this. He makes this jump over the buses, and just immediately from there, he's just like, all right, and then he just drives off. He drives out of the stadium on it. He doesn't stop for anyone. The bike is perfectly fueled up. He chases this woman down the freeway, presumably like a fair few miles down because she's been gone for a while. He commits.
No. It is the truck jump that he has the flashback on and crashes.
So where does he chase the woman?
Because it's just after that. Because
so does he get back on the bike?
Yeah. So he stacks it. But the devil saves him again.
Great. And then he uses his third chance to chase a woman down a freeway.
And he goes, right, I'm off.
Yeah.
And also on like a jump bike.
That's what I was saying when we watched it. That bike is not made for cross country driving, and it also wouldn't have that much fuel in it because it has to be light because it has to do the jump. So then to have like 30 miles worth of fuel in it, like at least, and also he's driving at full tilt, so you would assume it's got more. Anyway, so he chases her down the freeway. He's a terrible driver. Then he just assaults her. Like he just grabs her like really violently, just grabs her on the side of the freeway, properly lays a kiss onto her. Like not, I don't just mean a little peck. I don't mean a cute little peck. Like he is smooching this woman who clearly does not want to be smooched by Nicolas Cage. And then he's like, "Did I come on too strong?" Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
a little
did.
bit,
Yeah.
a little bit,
hmm
Nick,
Yeah.
a little bit.
Great.
Um, uh, all right. Um, Nick Cage in this movie.
He's
Um,
terrible. But he's I
he's
mean he's great, but he's
he's
terrible.
awful. He's awful.
He wants to watch monkey shows all the way through. He's like
That was what I was going to say. Nick Cage just wants to watch
Johnny Blaze
monkeys
loves
on
monkeys.
TV.
Yeah.
There's multiple moments where he turns on the TV and there's just monkeys.
And when his friends are watching the crash back, he's like, "Can you put on the monkey show? Can you
Yeah,
put on the
like,
monkeys?"
so he's in his like tour bus or something, and he's got some monkeys on telly. He's watching some monkeys.
I mean, his friends are dicks. To be fair, they're making him watch his
Yeah.
death back, basically.
Yeah, his friends get his crash back up on the TV to make him watch that, to just sort of like really hit hammer home that he fucked up his big stunt.
Yeah.
And he's just like, "Can we watch the monkeys again?"
So they
or
just
something like
turn
that.
off the TV. They're just like, "Fuck you."
They turn the telly off, and then they have a go at him and just tell him he's a twat. And it's really sad. And then and then there's a shot where there's like a bit where he goes into his house and he turns on the TV and a monkey comes on the TV and he just starts pointing and laughing. He's just going like, ha, ha, ha,
But throughout the scene as well, the guy's talking
yeah.
and Nicolas Cage is he stops, silence, and then there's really loud and sudden laughter. Stop, silence, sudden laughter. Like not like a normal person. Like no person does that. It takes a special actor to make something so human as laughing so uncomfortable. Like odd. But he
there's also a line. There's a line, sorry, just before there's a line where he talks. I can't remember who he's talking to, but he says, "I watch a lot of TV." The only TV he watches, because he's trying to prove a point about like how he knows something about like, you know, like what, can't remember what he's talking about. He watches a lot of TVs, whatever. But the only TV he watches, as far as anyone can tell, is videos of monkeys.
Yeah, it's just monkey clips. Yeah.
It's monkey clips.
He's flicking through channels at one point, and there's at least 2 channels that have monkeys on.
Yeah.
Which suggests that, because you can manually tune in the channels onto your TV, which suggests that Johnny Blaze has been like, I want some of the regular channels just to make it look normal. But how many monkey channels can I get? 100? Great. I'll have the monkey ones.
I whack them all on my cable plan.
I'm paying for these.
For my pay-per-view TV.
So
channels.
There is, for some reason, so Johnny Blaze, who has a family history, literally has a family history of death by motorbike, decides that it would be a great idea to jump like 50 helicopters with the blades spinning.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Crazy.
Right. I don't know.
He does the jump, and he goes off the jump at an angle that would mean that he would probably crash into maybe the 3rd helicopter. And then it cuts to Donald Logue's character, and he's like, he's not going to make it. And then it cuts back to Johnny Blaze, who's clearly still not going to make it. Then it cuts to Donald Logue again. And then it cuts back to Johnny Blaze, and Johnny Blaze has made it. And he's like, I knew he'd make it. It's like, we all knew he wasn't going to make that. Like, without the magic of cinema.
Yeah, for cinematic purposes, they've had him quite close to the helicopters, like he hasn't just soared miles above them. But also, it just looks stupid because he's, maybe he might make it, maybe he might not. If he just like went down the ramp and then just went miles up above them and then came down on the other side and there was nothing,
that's more impressive.
That is more impressive, but also there's, it's like it's a bit maybe.
No, I'd look at that and I'd be like, he's clearly a good motorcycle rider and not a fucking idiot who constantly dies.
They're clearly trying to establish the fact that he's in fact a bad motorcyclist.
I don't think they are trying to establish that though, because his whole superpower is motorbike. I mean, it's not, but like, there's a big draw card of Ghost Rider.
That helicopter bit, the helicopters when they land in the stadium look like
my god, yeah,
it's like iPad apps that you used to be able to get, that you probably still can, where it's like, you can film a video and then you can just make like a police car crash into it.
I mean, essentially what is now a Snapchat filter. Like back in the day, you'd have it on your iPad. Like I get exactly what you mean, but
there's some really dodgy shit CGI in this.
Some terrible CGI.
In 2007, CGI wasn't incredible, but you could do it.
Yeah, or you could just decide to do maybe 10 helicopters instead of 50, and then you could put all
How
of
many
the
helicopters
effort
was
into
it?
I think varying amounts. I think it's more more during the jump than you ever see land. I,
Yeah,
I think it's the
probably.
same as the trucks. I think it's a case
Yeah,
of
yeah,
there are 10 there, but then he jumps them and there's 100.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So the villain is basically, it's not Morbius, but the villain's basically Morbius, right?
Yeah.
So uh and I'm not going to go any further into that other than it's as bad as Morbius. His skill set is bat magic, basically, and he's got a really we've got a crew of 4 characters who have different superpowers with him, and all of them feel weirdly racially charged and a bit racist in different ways. Um,
Yeah,
especially the
there's
guy
the
with
weird,
dreadlocks.
yeah,
Is
the weird
Yeah,
Windman dreadlock guy. Um, what the fuck? He's shit.
they're all
Ghost
terrible.
Rider. Ghost Rider just makes incredibly short work of all of them, and it's just
Yeah,
like boring.
but including the
Um,
big bad, the main villain,
yeah,
who's
I know.
supposed to be coming for the devil's throne, and he just shoots him.
Yeah, and
Also,
then
he's fully powered up. He's got the contract by that point. The villain, so the
yeah,
villain
yeah,
basically is looking for the Ghost Rider contract so that he can take over as the devil and he can own Ghost Rider. But so the villain gets the contract, he gets fully powered up, and Johnny Blaze just shoots him. He doesn't use his Ghost Rider powers. He uses
no, no,
Sam
no, no,
Elliott's
no,
Ghost
no,
Rider
no.
shotgun.
He does use his Ghost Rider powers because he in he like gets all the souls in him, which means that he can use his
Oh, he
penance
uses the
stare on
penance
him
there.
finally.
Yeah.
So he does
Yes.
use the penance stare, but
Yeah.
it's just a shit disappointing fight.
Rebel Wilson
Uh,
is in this movie
yes, yes, she is, and it's hilarious
as
because
kind of nobody, but like
yeah, she's getting mugged, and then Ghost Rider rocks up and
the
kicks the
guy
shit out of
stabs
the
him.
mugger.
The guy stabs him in the shoulder, which, based on the fact that his jacket is clearly empty and there's nothing to Ghost Rider, what's he stabbed him in?
Yeah, and then also he's got a wound on his shoulder when he turns back.
Yeah, I love the fact that he can fully just tank a hit from a semi truck as he does in between,
Yeah.
like straight after. He just takes the hit from the semi truck, but then he goes back to human form and he's got a scar on his shoulder
Yeah,
from the
exactly.
knife.
And it's like quite a substantial wound as well.
Yeah, that Sam Elliott patches up.
His news reporter, ex childhood fling, walks into his apartment because he left his lift open. And then
Yep.
he's like, and then she's like, why
Because
can't
he stood her up on a date, didn't he? They were supposed to go on a date and he was busy ghost riding.
Yeah, and then she's like, oh, why can't we, why can't we be together? And he's like, because I sold my soul to the devil and now I have to do his bidding and I'm Ghost Rider. And she's like, you're a twat, like fuck off.
You're mental.
But just before she walked in, he's been like mastering his fire powers and lighting candles with his fire powers.
Yeah, and he doesn't show her that.
Just fucking show her that.
But also, she's a news reporter, so presumably she watches the news. She could probably turn the news on and see the report of giant flaming skull man gets hit by a truck and then murders 2 people and then rides off on a motorbike.
Also, the police find him like instantly. Like,
because he's left his skeleton handprint on the truck.
Well, yeah, exactly. What have they got his like bone? Have they got his exact
bone print
scans? Like what?
Yeah, they got his bone prints. They got your bone prints on file. If you commit a crime, they can get you fingerprint or bone print.
Not
yeah,
my bones. Not my bone.
They got your bones.
God forbid. They chuck him in prison or like in jail. For no reason. They've got no charges.
Yeah.
Also, he masters his powers like pretty much instantly.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I'm learning to control it, but it's literally within like the space of about 12 hours.
But also, he's already learned to control it. Like he's just taken on some
supervillains. No, because it's been dormant, right? It's been dormant for a while. Came out like unwillingly then, but now he's learning to control like what he can and can't do when he is and isn't Ghost Rider. And he's like learning to control when he can and can't turn into Ghost Rider. But it's supposed to be this whole like, presumably it's supposed to be this whole process of him mastering his powers. Happens in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, they fully went for the classic Ghost Rider look, and they nailed it. To be fair, like he's got the chain around him, and he's got the flaming skull. Like it sounds like stuff that should be obvious, but like Wolverine is always wears yellow, but in the movies has never worn yellow. So I'm pretty impressed that they got that right.
I thing that I remember we found frustrating was the fact that Sam Elliott's beard goes up to his eyes.
It does, but not naturally. Like it actively betrays the line of a normal beard.
Yeah.
And
but also more frustratingly was the fact that Sam Elliott is
I know what you're gonna say.
He's revealed to be the previous Ghost Rider.
The cowboy Ghost Rider.
Yeah, the badass fucking cowboy Ghost
Who's
Rider.
got one last ride left in him.
Yeah, he's got one last change back to Ghost Rider that he can do ever again. And he uses it to just change into Ghost Rider to ride with Nick Cage to where the bad guy is. And then he just changes back into Sam Elliott and fucks off.
Yeah, he's like, I got one last ride in me. And then, but I didn't think he meant it literally. He does literally just have one last ride. He then stops. Like,
yeah, like he just has a ride even.
I thought it was because I even said at the time, it's awesome they've got two Ghost Riders, and it's awesome that they're going to make them team up and fight in the finale. Yeah. But they do not. No,
he just goes. He leaves. He's just like, I guess I'll just right. You got this.
Is it better than Morbius?
No.
Is it more fun than Morbius?
No.
Okay, cool. Right. If you Stanley is still stood in your office. He's still there. And he's got his hands on the Moon Knight slip of paper. He's decided this is the phase where Stanley's decided he's just going to remove characters from the desk. He's got Ghost Rider in his hands. Do you want him to take it away or leave it in for a Marvel Cinematic Universe film? It's a reboot of Ghost Rider. It's a new Ghost Rider. Do you put him in the Midnight Suns?
I do put him in the Midnight Suns.
I mean, you have to because he's the one who founded it.
The Midnight Suns, and I would drag him back now in as Nick Cage.
But would you do that for like Multiverse of Madness? Yeah, or would you just do that for regular?
No,
because
all right, yeah. I'd have him as a cameo as Nick Cage. But
would you make hold on? You make him the last Ghost Rider. The cowboy Ghost Rider. Nick Cage is the Ghost Rider before. Yeah.
Yes, he's the previous Ghost Rider.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you said earlier.
Yes. So you get Norman Reedus as Ghost Rider. Yeah. There is no other right answer. He rides a motorbike in The Walking Dead. That qualifies him for a start, but also perfect Johnny Blaze. Like perfect. Plus, he seems like he's aching to do something like he doesn't need to be young. He's CGI for the half of it. He's a skull.
Yeah, I reckon if they did him as a real creepo Johnny Blaze.
No, I just think he's classic Texan. He's got his Johnny Blaze shotgun and he's got his Johnny Blaze chain. Yeah. He's riding a bike and he's cruising on a chopper.
Oh, no, dude, the guy who plays who the fuck is it in Rampage?
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Yeah.
I'll accept that. I said it was undisputable. I'd accept Jeffrey Dean Morgan. But no, because he's quite good. He's Thomas Wayne already. He's done that. Although by the time of a Midnight Suns movie, that's going to be like 10 years ago.
Yeah, and also not in the MCU.
No, what I'm saying is I feel like it's one of those things where you get him as a mainline Marvel character and people suppose Thomas Wayne.
Yeah.
No, Ryan Reynolds did Deadpool and Green Lantern. Who cares?
Yeah, that's true.
Who cares? But you just said Norman Reedus was too old. I think Jeffrey Dean Morgan is older. But I accept that. No, I'll give you that. That's fair enough. Yeah. Okay. One of those two can play him.
Yeah.
Excellent. And whichever one doesn't play him can play another.
I think Jeffrey Dean Morgan is more youthful than Norman Reedus.
Maybe. I don't know. It depends on the role. Also, do you need him to be youthful? I feel like I kind of want him.
Yeah, but he's like grizzled, but he's lively. You know.
Yeah.
Norman Reedus is just sad all the time in every role he's in.
I would bet actual money that it will be Norman Reedus though.
Are they like confirmed rumors?
They haven't confirmed they're doing a Ghost Rider yet. They might never do a Ghost Rider.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, great. We then watched The Punisher, except you didn't.
No,
What you
I
watched was you watched season 2, episode 3 of Daredevil, which I picked out to be the best appearance of the Punisher in the MCU.
yes.
Yeah,
I thought it was great.
be a bit more brief on it because it's
Um,
one TV episode. But yeah, so
I thought it was
what
great.
did you think of the character and the
Daredevil-
episode?
Daredevil's cool, bit frustrating, but also like that scene in the hallway where he's got the gun sellotape to his hand and
He's
he's
great.
chain as the whip. Fucking brilliant fight scene.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
That was a big reason I
I-
picked it. To be fair,
I know
was
that
thought
yeah,
that'd
I
get
know
you
that
involved.
I know that Daredevil as a series is quite known for their because they do those big one take fight scenes and stuff and
Yeah.
the corridor fight scenes. And I've seen those, I've seen clips of those
Mhm.
and stuff, and they look fucking brilliant. But yeah, that was a pretty awesome sequence. But the main point that we're obviously talking about is the Punisher.
Mhm.
I probably should watch more
Yeah,
to understand
mean,
his actual
yeah.
motivations, but he's just a psycho, really,
Yeah,
isn't he?
I'm baffled by the fact that Ghost Rider's putting together a team. He's like, there's a supernatural threat, and we need supernatural dudes. And then he's just like, oh yeah, but also there's a Marine with PTSD and a gun. Let's bring him.
Yeah.
Let's.
Like
He
a
also,
like like a psychotic war veteran.
yeah. Let's bring him along because he can kill a
He'll-
ghost or two.
He could probably.
If the
he
ghost
couldn't
is a
kill
bad dude,
ghost.
he'll kill the ghost.
He couldn't kill a ghost.
No, he'll kill a ghost. He's got a shotgun. He's got a shotgun.
Ghosts don't give a shit about shotguns.
This one does.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, this one does.
It's not a very good ghost then.
No, he's not. It's the Jackal from Moon Knight.
Could
You can kill him
have
with a
shot the
Jackal
Jackal from Moonlight?
Hmm?
Could you though? Could a regular person?
He's not a regular
Jackal from
person.
Moonlight?
He's the Punisher.
This is true.
Yeah.
He is the Punisher. I did
Also,
forget about this.
if you just get one of the supernatural ones, just to hold him down, hold the Jackal down, and then just shoot
Oh, yeah.
vaguely where. Yeah,
Just shoot him. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I'll
Yeah.
take this.
crazy they brought him
I-
along though.
Yeah.
The Daredevil stuff is in the MCU now. At least the first 2 seasons of Daredevil are. Do you think that they would bring that Punisher along to a supernatural comic book team up, or do you think they'd leave that for the more grounded stuff? Do you think they would do it?
I think probably they'd keep Punisher as a more like a kind of they keep him with all the gritty sort of down to earth like.
So you don't take him. I'm Stan Lee and I'm stood there on my hands on Punisher and I'm about to take him. Do you stop me?
Yeah, I think I let you take him.
We are running out of members of this team. At a certain point, it's just going to be
No,
Ghost Rider and
but-
Moon Knight.
No, but we do still have time to talk about the 38 minutes of Blade that I watched immediately
Yes.
before coming on here.
Yeah, because you hadn't seen Blade, so you
Never
thought
seen Blade.
I'll watch Blade, but I won't watch it all. I will watch 38 minutes of it.
Yeah, I'd take Blade on the team. So my Midnight Suns so far are Moon Knight, Ghost Rider, and Blade.
That's a pretty proficient team. I wouldn't
Yeah.
want to fight them. But also, okay, so they're all caught up. They're fighting their ghosts. But then
Yeah.
a regular man comes along.
Yeah.
They're too busy to kill him. So Punisher, right?
Yeah, what's Punisher doing in the meantime?
Playing games on his phone.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, you can
Yeah.
go on then.
He's
You can
no,
go
he's
along, I guess.
he's processing horrors of war that he went through. He's sat there thinking about that.
True.
I think he'd give Arthur Harrow a pretty good go though. I think that the John Bernthal's Punisher would snap his neck.
You probably would, to be fair.
Yeah. So I'd take the Punisher. I'm Stan Lee and I'm stood there and you've just told me to take the Punisher. I've in fact said, shut up, and I've put the Punisher back down on the desk. He's coming. So you watched 38 minutes of Blade. I wouldn't have bothered watching only 38 minutes. So obviously it wouldn't be Wesley Snipes' Blade that comes along, but it also wouldn't have been a Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider that came along. So it doesn't matter. What did you think?
Pretty cool.
Do you think that it's worth choking your director for? Do you think that movie is worth choking the director, Wesley Snipes, and
Yes.
the director says, Wesley, and you say, nope, I only respond to Blade now. And then he says, okay, Blade, we need you to film a scene, but you disagree and you choke him. Would you say it was worth it?
Yeah.
Cool. Because Wesley Snipes did both of those things. He famously refused to answer to Wesley or Wesley Snipes. He had to be called Blade. And also he choked the director.
Choked the director, and then also he didn't you were telling me there's a scene
yes
shooting where he was supposed to open his eyes.
Yes, he's lying there and the camera's down on him and he's got his eyes closed and he has to like open his eyes mid-scene, but he just refused and he lay there with his eyes closed. So instead of just not using the scene, they used the scene, but they added a pair of CGIs on top of his eyes, and they look to be like colored weirdly in the sense that the lighting doesn't match up, and also they look like they're shot from a different angle to the rest of his face. And yeah, that's Blade 3, to be fair. That's not the Blade you watched, but yeah. So what did you think?
I thought the opening scene in the club with the blood, pretty iconic, pretty classic. Wesley Snipes isn't a very good actor.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't know, I haven't seen him in anything else, to be honest, but
so what would you, I don't think we would have done a bigger review on it had we both watched it fully before recording this, but
essentially I think a team up movie, don't care about the Punisher that much.
Right,
he's not supernatural. It's not supernatural.
No, but
actually, no. You know what? Even right, a recast a different Morbius.
Would you take him over the Punisher? He's not supernatural. He's just a man. He's a man with bat powers now. But he's not a vampire though. No, because the whole thing of Morbius is he's not actually a vampire. He's a proto vampire. There are vampires in. No, Blade's a vampire hunter. Like, yes, you're right. Like, yes, I know he's not a vampire, but I'm not claiming that he's a vampire. He's more vampire than Blade is, than Morbius is. Morbius is a vampire because he's, I guess he has a similar, he needs to drink blood, but he's not actually a vampire.
Natural vampire.
Yeah, so I wouldn't even bring him. I mean, I would.
All right.
I wouldn't for the film, but
get the Punisher some bat DNA then.
Oh, right? So you make Porbius?
Yes.
Yeah.
Manisher.
Okay. Dr. Michael Manisher.
Yes.
Dr. Michael okay. Manisher. And you take him.
And you take him.
Okay. Cool.
Put bat DNA in the Punisher.
I'm just thinking about it. I would just give Punisher one of Ghost Rider's shotguns. I'd just be like, here you go, supernatural shotgun.
Oh yeah, that's actually
his skill set works. You just give him a supernatural shotgun.
Yeah, right. Okay, fine.
Great. Take the Punisher. I've won this campaign. The Punisher's coming.
Michael Manisher with a shot with a.
No, he stays behind. Now that we've got the Punisher with a shotgun, Michael Manisher, our horrible monstrosity, is being left behind.
he doesn't need to come.
We made him for nothing.
The Punisher with a Ghost Rider shotgun, badass.
What about so Doctor Strange is a member of them. We're not going to talk about the film. Everyone's seen the film. There's a second one coming out. Do you take Doctor Strange
in there too?
Because he would just do it on his own, wouldn't he? He'd just be like, I'm just going to put you all into the different multiverse.
Doctor Strange is arguably in the MCU more powerful than God is in the Bible.
Yeah, like I don't think it's arguable. Actually, I think he just is. I think he's ridiculous. Yeah. So are we leaving him at home for the movie?
Yeah, because it would just be boring.
Or are we taking him for an end credit scene?
No, okay, you take him in the movie, but then you slap some kind of like kryptonite-esque.
Yeah, I was gonna say bring away that he can't do something.
Yeah.
Take his little sling ring, his teleportation ring off him. The Punisher shoots something and the shrapnel takes the ring off it. Pings against the ring. Yeah.
Pings against the ring and it saves Doctor Strange's finger.
Even better. Doctor Strange says, I can't make it, guys. I really can't go. But I have a teleportation ring, and he gives it to the Punisher. So now it's the Punisher with a shotgun and teleportation. Do you take the Punisher then?
Yeah, I take the Punisher. Then.
Right.
I
And
don't
he's
quite know what the
reading.
Punisher stands for. I must say.
The Punisher stands for he doesn't like bad blokes, does he? That's it. He just doesn't like bad blokes.
Yeah, right.
He's Batman with a gun.
Yeah,
And also he will kill. He's gonna kill. Batman with a gun still wouldn't kill.
Daredevil is also just Batman, but blind.
Yep. So he's Daredevil with a gun and eyesight. So yeah, so your Midnight Suns team is who?
My Midnight Suns team is Moon Knight,
played by Oscar Isaac, played by John Bernthal.
Yeah. Norman Reedus, I reckon, as Ghost Rider, but mentored at some point. No, because Nick Cage and Norman Reedus are the same age. It doesn't work.
No, but Nick Cage is the previous Ghost Rider, but maybe in flashbacks. Dye his hair grey and put a cowboy hat on him.
Yeah, all right.
It's fine. It's fine.
Norman Reedus and Nick Cage, maybe as Ghost Rider team.
2 Ghost Riders. So we're doing a Ghost Rider solo movie where they're both in it, and then we peel off to Midnight Suns and only Norman Reedus goes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
No. 2 Ghost Riders formed the Midnight Suns, so you do need them both at the start of the movie to be like, hey, actually, we need a team. So Nick Cage and Norman Reedus are both Ghost Riders.
Yeah, and then Nick Cage gets killed or something.
Yeah, he dies off screen.
Ghost Rider gets killed.
Yeah.
Somehow Nicolas Cage has
died. He's got one last ride in him, and that ride is creating a team. Okay. It's a mental ride more than anything. It's him putting together the team. It kills him.
Yeah, perfect. Then
Mahershala Ali is Blade. He comes along.
Yeah, he comes along.
Morbius stays at home.
But Wesley Snipes turns up at first, and then he goes in a machine that makes him
into a younger, better actor.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Great. So that's and Doctor Strange, but he's also staying at home. But in the movie, we acknowledge the fact that he can't come. He's not just not in it. Okay, so that's our team. I want to be in it as the 3rd Ghost Rider.
Oh, dude. Imagine a movie that's just like 20 Ghost Riders.
All just different people who have died through various vehicular means. Yeah. the devil's gone to them all. Like, yeah, great.
There's like 20 Ghost Riders, and one of them's got like he's like a water Ghost Rider.
Do you know what I would rate? I would rate a Ghost Rider series, because there have been loads of Ghost Riders. I'd rate a Ghost Rider Disney Plus series, and each episode follows a different Ghost Rider in a different era.
Oh, that would be very cool.
And the final episode is Norman Reedus in modern day, and he's ready to Ghost Ride.
They've all got quite distinct looks.
Nicolas Cage is the second to last episode. He's cowboy Ghost Rider.
And like medieval Ghost Rider would be sick.
Yeah, awesome.
Also, future Ghost Rider, and he's got some kind of space thing. And he's zipping about.
Yeah, that would be good. I'd watch that. Anyway, I think that just about does it.
I think so.
I think we've made it to the end of another episode. We're back in 2 weeks' time, and we're gonna talk Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. And we'll talk something else, but I don't know what. And
we'll just talk some shop.
We'll talk shop. And you can look at the website. I've mentioned that several times throughout. That'd be great. You can find this on Spotify. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it on Samsung Podcasts. You can find it on Google Podcasts. You can find Alfie Devereaux's album at Alfie Devereaux on Spotify. He's got a single out. It's about Ghost Rider. And that does it. See you in a while. Later's Gators, as Stephen Grant says. In a bizzle. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening.
Thanks. Cheers, guys.